Good morning and welcome to Scotland. It's IFSC Lead World Cup number 5 of the 2017 season, and we're live in Edinburgh. I'm Charlie Bosco, I have Mike Langley alongside me as ever in Europe, and a very special guest, Nick Hope, BBC Olympic correspondent. Nick, firstly, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, good morning.
What brings you to Ratho, and what is your role in the BBC as related to climbing?
So I cover all things Olympic and Paralympic, basically all the time. So not just during the Olympic Games themselves, but we try to kind of keep the Olympic flame burning throughout the full 4 years to find out who the new rising stars are going to be and what the athletes who've excelled in previous games have done. So essentially what I'm here to do is find out a bit about sport climbing ahead of its debut at Tokyo 2020.
And Nick, I want to ask you, what have you been doing here in Ratho, and what is the BBC going to be doing leading up to 2020?
Well, I've got to say, I'm super excited about sport climbing going into the Olympics. Obviously, I've done a few shoots with athletes and met them in the past, but never actually seen a World Cup event in the flesh. And I've got to say, it's been absolutely brilliant. And I only saw the qualifiers yesterday, so really excited about the semi-finals and the finals today. In terms of what I've been here to do is basically to give a little bit of coverage to the event. So to try and get on not just our regional but our national outlets and BBC Sport website a little bit of climbing coverage. So as I say, our audiences can get a little bit more familiar with the sport, but also with the athletes that they should be hopefully looking out for. That's the British ones and the international ones over the next 3 years ahead of those Tokyo Olympics.
And speaking about the athletes and the public getting to know them, you've seen a lot of sports go to the Olympics. Some have fared better than others.
Yeah.
How do you think climbing will get on?
Well, look, it is a spectacular sport. There is nothing quite like this in the Olympic Games at the moment. Obviously, I think speed climbing instantly will capture people. It is the Spider-Men, the Spider-Women of the sport climbing world. As soon as people see that, they're like, whoa, I will stop whatever I'm doing and I will watch it. And then I think people will then be drawn into the lead and the bouldering, the technical aspects of those sports. As I say, nothing like this at the Olympics at the moment. It's got in there because the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, want more youth appeal. They want to move away from it being just about these traditional sports that you've seen in the Olympics for the last 100 or so years in many cases, with your wrestlings and your traditional ones, and to try and bring it to a new generation. And climbing has everything that they'd want for that.
And I want to ask you, and we've got a couple of questions, a little bit more time just before the competition gets going. But you talked a lot to us off camera about speed climbing. You feel like that's going to be the one that's really going to draw in the crowds. Do you think, obviously there's 3 disciplines, how are people going to start to learn the difference between the different disciplines?
Well, we're going to do the best that we can to try and educate people who will come from the non-climbing background. And I think it's about sort of easing people in with a bit of knowledge about what they can clearly understand simply to begin with, and that is, speed climbing. You got a 15-meter wall from the bottom to the top as quickly as you can go, head-to-head combat. That's a very easy concept to understand. Also, I think to an extent with lead climbing in terms of the challenge of getting as high as possible. But bouldering perhaps is a little bit more technical to understand. So what we need to do is try and figure out different ways of explaining it in a very basic form, but that isn't patronising to those who know the sport well, but also isn't overly complicated for those who are coming from a complete background of not knowing about sport climbing. It's a challenge, but hopefully we've got 3 years to get it right leading into 2020.
Hey Nick, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Semi-final is underway here. Georg Palmer and Lily Kiesgen, who have just lost on the women's route, are already on the wall. But Nick, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Georg Palmer, as I mentioned, already underway. The men's route, sorry. Lily Kiesgen, saw her very briefly on women's route.
So George Palmer, wearing 51, then starts his campaign on the right-hand side of this incredible competition wall here in Ratho. And quick substitution in the commentary box. Nick Hope from the BBC joins out, and Jim Pope, very similar names, different style of commentator. Jim, been competing this weekend. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. The result for me I didn't make semis, hence why I'm here commentating, but it was still good fun.
Definitely give us an opportunity to concentrate on the action here then, and yeah, really exciting looking semi-finals route. Women have got just around 52 moves, 53 is the top hold in the women's. Just waiting for the updated top of all the men's competition. But super impressive facilities here in Ratho. See a lot of action on a very long and steep wall. Don't think there'll be too many problems in terms of the time limit, 6 minutes as always here.
No, we wouldn't have thought time would be too much of an issue. It's quite a lot of moves to get through, but the route setters really beginning to learn this new 6-minute rule.
I don't think we saw anyone timing out in qualifiers.
No, it's a good point. We haven't seen any timeout issues for a while. Arco, it was felt time might play a bit of a factor, but as it turned out, it didn't really.
No, generally it was okay. I think Jain Kim timed out in the finals, but that was the only occurrence.
Yeah, she was well clear by then. So Jakob Palmer, as I said, he's on the right-hand side of this Ratho wall. You can see immediately to the right of him. It's the old quarry that makes up the venue. Extraordinary venue here in Ratho. There was a quarry here and they built the climbing wall inside it and stuck a roof on. So you do get more changeable conditions than you'd think. It's one of the few climbing walls where the weather affects it. Great.
Sticks that jump.
Yeah, great start from Jakob Palmer. Absolutely flying. He's not too far off the top there. 10 or so moves from the top. Min Son Kim of Korea is out onto the women's route as well, bottom right. Jakob Palmer fighting and off through the very steepest section of the wall here in Ratho. Acknowledges the crowd, they enjoyed that. This is the first time that Great Britain has hosted a Lead World Cup since 2003. It's been a long wait. That was actually the year that Ratho opened.
Yeah, it's been a long wait, but I think so far the organisers have done a great job in making this World Cup what everybody wanted it to be. They've done Britain proud, done the BMC proud, and Edinburgh Leisure, everybody who's worked hard to get this event on. Hopefully we'll see a lot more events to come. Just as we lose Min Son Kim. Early falls here in the women's route so far, rattling through the athletes already. Just 3 quick draws off the floor for Kim from Korea. See Jim here, what's it like climbing on this facility?
It's a really great wall because it's in the quarry. We have pretty good temperatures as well. Often it's quite cold, so the friction's good, and I think the climbers benefit from that a lot. Although some of them struggle with the cold. Actually, I think find it. A lot of climbers were numbing out in qualifiers yesterday and found it hard to get their fingers warm. So maybe that's what we're seeing here, especially as it's so early in the morning.
Yeah, what's the warm-up facilities like? Obviously, these climbers come from an isolation zone. Is there facilities in the isolation zone to get the body ready to get warm?
The isolation zones behind the wall, like back in the main part of the building, and it's because that's more inside than here. So in there, it's pretty hot, and it can be a bit of a shock to the system when you step out into the arena.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's one of the few indoor walls where you do get weather because of the nature of the place. It's kind of a semi-indoor venue. I've been told that if you get a particularly cold night, a cold, clear night, and then it heats up very quickly during the day, that clouds can actually form in here. Scotland being the only country where I'd imagine where it can rain indoors.
Yeah, we've had national championships here, and there's been clouds in the building.
All Germany on the wall right now. Martin Teckler's climbing Alma Bestvater, bottom right of your screen. Men on the right of the wall as we look at it here in Innsbruck, women on the left.
So on the men's route, we've got a real resistant start. The route setters have gone for more of a traditional endurance climbing here. Like I said, it's over 50 moves in the women's route at least. So really, really endurance-based climbing, but quite quick climbing as well. Obviously, they've only got 6 minutes, like we've already mentioned, and the men do have a tricky jump, sort of 2/3 of the way up the wall. So we're looking forward to seeing that. They think, they'd hope that they won't lose too many athletes doing that move, but you have to really commit, and that's one of the moves, that style of move that really starts to isolate some of the climbers, especially psychologically when they line up for those moves. And Martin is a good 10 or so moves off of that point at the moment, so we look forward to that as a real indicator later on. Alma Bestvater in the meantime on the bottom right hand of your screen, looking a bit pumped already, and another early fall. Looks like the women's route here is starting very, very difficult indeed. See, these are the qualifiers who finished lowest during the qualification round yesterday. Coming through from the qualification, it was actually 4 men who had 2 tops. 3 were tied in the 5th spot with 1 top. And in the women's 7 double top outs.
Martin found a good knee bar there. Hopefully he can get a bit recover.
Yeah, you can see it is a knee bar, but he's really trying to stretch the length of his leg by really towing down. Not the comfiest knee bar in the world, and dragging on the shorts as well is definitely not going to help. Alfgats comes from the local MC, Liam Lonsdale. Martin, this is exactly what we expect to see from this route, really steady climbing. Nothing too spectacular, but he's moving up into this dyno move now. He'll roll over to the left hand, drop out to the right.
This left hand's a slot. It has a hold on top of it to make it smaller, and that once the jump's been stuck, it means it's a pretty bad foothold, so they can't rest.
Jumps over to the right hand. Ooh. Oh, and we lose him. Interesting start then into the men's competition.
Just missing that left hand there.
Just saying, we don't expect to see too many people fall there, but if you don't hit it with exactly the right level of conviction, and that's what happened with Martin there. He hit the right hand, he hit it well, but you've got to spring up with the left hand exactly at the same time. That's what we've been informed by the route set as well. That's the way it looks.
Next up in the women's is Britain's Jen Wood. This is her first lead World Cup semi-final, so I'm sure she's feeling super relaxed and just wants to do as well as she can.
That's an interesting thing you say there, Jim. I'm sure she'll be super relaxed. You think climbing in front of a home crowd, she will be relaxed?
I think from speaking to her before, lead not being her main discipline, Jen's just looking forward to the climbing, and I think she'll be feeling pretty relaxed out there.
It's certainly a very healthy mindset. I hope you're right. Nice just to get a couple of moves in. Certainly from what we've seen so far, this men's semi-final will run considerably longer than the women's. Can all change, of course, but this women's route does look really physical pretty much from here on.
Those yellow holds you can see just off to the left-hand side of your screen there, that will be holds that are going to be used later on. Route set is very limited for time here to re-route set between the rounds, so they put on pretty much a start and a finish of that route later to save a bit of time. So that's not the athlete Jen Wood off route, she is on the purple route with the white volumes. Fantastic routes they look as well.
Well on, Jen.
Cragany really behind Jen there.
Getting close to that crimp.
Yeah, the women's route so far looking absolutely desperate. We have seen in the league competitions last year and this year particularly that there does seem to be a small group of the women climbers who are perhaps slightly pulling away the top 7 from yesterday's qualifiers.
Next up in the guys we have Simone Lorenzi. Simone came first in the Lead World Youth Championships 2 years ago in China.
His compatriot Anna Verhoeven will be out later. I was just saying about some of the women who perhaps are slightly pulling away in the women's lead, and Anna Verhoeven absolutely in that group. First ascent of a new route outdoors since the last World Cup, 9A+. She said she'd like someone to go and do it so the grade could be confirmed, but she certainly believes it's a 9A+, so she's coming on excellent form, and climbers normally hedge their bets, and if you ask them how they're feeling, well, this so-so, but Anna said, oh no, I feel really fit right now. Yeah. So that's good sign.
It's a good sign of true sports psychology there as well, just, yeah, I'm on. So good angle there, starts to show this wall here in Edinburgh, start to get familiar with the different features, different angles. Simone Lorenzi starting his campaign halfway up the wall at the moment, but the bottom half of the route is the path of least resistance to begin with at least, and then it gets steeper and steeper and steeper, and the men's route has a real compression section at the top, a lot of really funky hill hooks and some lively finish moves. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what we expect here. Route setters in the semi-final generally tend to try and find a low number of tops. Here we go then with Simone into this jump, looking a bit pumped on the left hand, comes up with the right hand nicely, that was much better.
Really well done.
Hit the right hand with a bent arm, always a good thing in that style of jump. Martin Tekles was just a bit stretched when he hit the left hand, and yeah, Simone was much happier on that move.
Although the right hand's pretty good there, the feet are really poor and there's not much in the way of resting unless you can match on the ball like that.
I think that would be a sigh of relief from the route setting team as well. Nobody wants to see the climbers falling off on a dyno time and time again. It's interesting that they're starting to put these moves into the routes these days. They're starting to, in the modern style of lead climbing, starting to see a lot more jumps. We saw in Chamonix quite a few jumps in that round. It seems to be really part of the show these days for the route climbing, and something that the athletes really have to take on board. It's not just about 50 move endurance climbing anymore.
I think that also comes from, as the climbing time's been reduced from 8 minutes to 6 minutes, the moves are going to have to be bigger just so that they can get up the wall in the time period.
This is a hell of a burn here from Simon Lorenzi. This is an incredible start. This is an early sign. He's into the top few moves here already. We do think this next section will be really hard, so yeah, it's a good effort there from Simon Lorenzi. We'll see exactly where that leaves him, but Jim, interesting start in the men's competition. High point already.
Yeah.
Mia Krampel then starts her campaign out on the left-hand side of the wall. And again, early fall. 4 quick draws in the bag and then off. Women's competition's flying by. Rocketing through the rounds. Rocketing through the climbs already. 26 athletes in the men, 26 in the women. Long way to go yet in the semi-final round. Local MC just getting the crowd warmed up. Still feels pretty early here in Edinburgh. A lot of the athletes, we were actually having breakfast with some of the athletes this morning, 7 a.m. Those guys have got to get up early, got to get the food on board, get themselves prepared, get themselves warmed up, ready. What's it like, Jim, coming out early in the morning like that from an isolation?
It's pretty tough. I think if you compete, you're quite used to it because it's generally we have some early starts, and quite often maybe athletes will train quite early in the morning just to get used to being able to climb that early in the morning as well.
So many things for the athletes to factor in. Good look at the wall here in Edinburgh then, super wide. Had 4 routes on that wall yesterday, all climbed simultaneously.
The wall is a articulating wall, and it's currently the least steep angle it could be, so maybe we'll see the setters crank it up for the finals.
Yeah, it's a very rare feature. Just have a look at Shinichiro Nomura. Yeah, the ability for the route setters to change the angle of the wall. We were joking yesterday that they could, if they felt the routes were too easy, just tip it over a couple of degrees, but very unlikely. But the route setters did say, although they do have that potential to change the angle of the wall, they're not going to. They prefer this angle. It's steep enough as it is, to be honest. Huge roof section at the top of the wall. We have seen previous rounds here. I've seen not a World Cup for many years, but British Championships where the wall's been tipped right over. Not the case here though, preferring the sort of more longer technical climbing rather than the powerful climbing on the jugs in the roof that would have to be.
Apologies if you are struggling with the live stream, by the way. I'm told we are having 1 or 2 issues with the connection here in Ratho. It's not been the most reliable, but I do hope it's not affecting our stream. Apologies if it is. As ever, if you can, if we are live and you can hear me, get in touch on Twitter, hashtag IFSCWC. Forget the Youth World Championship hashtag. Get the new one in your favourites. The old one, hashtag IFSCWC.
Julia Fisser from Austria then on the bottom right hand of your screen. I had a chance to mention her yet. She's out, starting her fight. It's 13 plus currently in the women's competition. Unlucky number 13 is the high point. Not very high on the wall at all. 53 is the high point on there, so a very long way to go. In the women's competition, we've not got to see any of the route at all, really, apart from the first bottom 4 quick draws. But sometimes that's understandable at this stage of the competition.
Now the setters will be getting nervous now. Big ties on 13 plus. They will not want that at all. We saw it in the Youth World Championships where many climbers tied in one position and we ended up with huge finals. 12, I think it was, in one final. The route setters will be keen to avoid that. They'll be watching this slightly nervously, but an awful long way to go in this semi-final. For now, we're focused on Shinichiro Nomura.
Yeah, Shinichiro is coming up into this first move that we've had one drop on from Martin Tekles. The dyno, Shinichiro is looking very confident. You can see him looking up at the next hold there, looking around, sizing it up. Ops to the right foot. Oh, easy in the end for the Japanese athlete. Hit the right hand with style, with control. Just tap the left hand on the volume before moving up into the left hand side of that hold. You can see as soon as he set that move, you can see him look up, look confident. Takes the opportunity to have a rest, and this is what we see a lot with these dynamic moves. Is generally they have to dyno. They made dyno off bad holds, but they generally have to jump to some reasonable holds at least, and which means there's always an opportunity to rest. So the routes tend to slow down after the dyno. So it's a good show up to that point, and then the athletes take a rest. So I think this route is really going to suit those climbers who potentially may not be the endurance specialists, but get an opportunity to do a few hard moves and have a rest, and then push on into the next section. Big smash up with the left hand then from Shinichiro.
Interesting one from Julia Fisher as well, bottom right. She's taking a long rest. I'd imagine that backstage she was not expecting to be out anything like this quickly. She'll be well aware that no one's progressed onto the upper reaches of this women's route, and very cleverly has taken a long rest below what is proving to be the Crux move. Shinichiro, meanwhile, fighting up and right. Heads out towards the arete. There's now a series of hard toe hooks, and there we see it. Would have just begun them there.
That was a good burn. That'll be a new high point. Oh, as we lost Julia Fischer. Yeah, new high point from the Japanese there, Shinichiro Nomura. He managed to hit the right hand out on the right hand side that George Palmer fell off. Went again with the right hand. Good burn. Very close to the top of the wall. But I think that top move is a real boulder problem right at the top there, and I think that's going to be the separation that's going to get you through to the finals. 8 climbers out of 26 will go through to that final round. I think it's all going to come down to that top 8 or so moves.
Once again, just where the wall steepens here in Ratho, female athletes running into problems. It is an articulated wall here. It's quite unusual in a World Cup. The route setters chose the angle they wanted for the top section of the wall from in between those 2 half moon volumes on the left hand side, the 2 purple volumes in between there. That's where the wall pivots, and they can set the angle. If you wanted, you could have the top touching the floor and just put boulder mats under the whole thing, but might not be quite what they were looking for.
Yeah, we were just joking yesterday. Maybe the route setters would just tip the wall over, screw on all the holes, and then push it back, see what happens. Saves going up in the cherry picker. Great job from the route setting team here so far this week. Good qualifying rounds. Quite a few tops in the women's going through, 7 double tops, but generally they were very happy with their work, and let's hope they've got it right going through the semi-final. Pressure's on as always, as Loic Timmermans starts his campaign on the right-hand side of the wall.
Yeah, 2 interesting climbers here. Loic Timmermans on the right and Claudia Ghisolfi, there she is, on the left. We'll also be seeing Stefano Ghisolfi a bit later on. Qualified in 2nd place.
Joined first, I believe, with Ramon and Jakob,
yes,
and with the double tops.
But he'd be out 2nd to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, both top, both routes, Roman and Stefano. It's a bit of a group of climbers who got 2 tops yesterday, as well as Stefano and Roman. It was Kachira Koronaga and Jakob Schubert. 7 in the women's competition with 2 tops in the qualifiers.
Ghisolfi here then, this gives us the first opportunity to have a really good look at what's causing the problems here in the women's route. What are they up against? See, just using the panel edge there, that was actually used in one of the men's routes yesterday. Crimping the panel edge with a thumb catch. See, I think it's the feet really that's causing a lot of the problems here. The route setters did say it's a very weird start of the route. So he said if you can find a method through, it's not actually that bad, but it's really hard to read, especially when you're nervous coming out in a World Cup semi-final.
Are we about to see some progress onto the upper section of this wall? We are. Claudia Ghisolfi breaks through.
Incredibly fierce start to the route. So awkward, really hard to read. Not sure what to put your feet on. The way that she went up to that crimp was absolutely desperate off the left heel. Nothing for the right foot. really awkward body positions. The men's is actually also quite awkward at the bottom. Slightly easier to read than the women's route. We've got climbers of 9A plus caliber in the women's coming through. Just lose Ghisolfi. Another early drop. As Loic Timmerman drops into that knee bar that Jim Pope, GB athlete, mentioned earlier on. See the way he's trying to toe down there. It's a classic position for making the Elvis leg go, as it's known.
Speaking to the setters earlier on, Jan was convinced no one could get a knee bar in there, and we've seen 2 of the climbers do that so far. Although I don't think it's good enough for it to help them too much.
Yeah, it's a psychological knee bar, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jan Genu, a member of a very strong route setting team here in Edinburgh, Julien Gras leading the team. I have to say, chief route setters. Doesn't mean that much in the IFSC these days. The teams are so strong. It's very much a shared effort. Julien Gras is the man with his name above the door. And as Jim mentioned, Jan Genu, French climber based in London, is part of the team, and we lose Loic Timmermans.
Yeah, that was interesting, the way that Loic went over there. He's actually one of the taller climbers. He looks a little bit bunched in that springing position off of the right foot. He tried to go over just to the right hand only and try and stick with the, just going to stick the right hand. Let's have another look. See how high the right foot is for him. Really bunched. Trying to work out whether he should twist the knee or not going up to that next hole. The next hole looked really close for him. He almost went too far.
Yeah, he looked as if he slapped above the wall and dropped onto it. Just surprising lack of accuracy in the move, it seemed. So Magda Ruck out onto the stage. Had her problems with injury this year.
Great to see her back in the semi-finals.
Certainly is. We'd like to see her higher up the order. Of course, won a World Cup last year, 2016. She won in Imst, not far from her home. But as I say, a bit of an injury-troubled 2017 up to this stage. Apologies if you are having problems with your connection. I've been told there might be a few issues with the stream. I know at our end we're not really getting the scores. We're getting the odd score here and there, but they're not coming through live, that's for sure. So apologies for that. The tech guys, I'm assured, are working on it.
This is another opportunity then to have Magdalena Rock on the wall, to have a look at this bottom sequence. You can see how awkward it is. Quite a lot of these sort of half-moon fiberglass volumes employed. It must be desperate. She's only 1 or 2 quick draws, I think it is. Just 1 quick draw. No, it is 2. 2 quick draws from the start of the route, and already having issues, shaking out, trying to find a sequence. Jim, if you've been in this position before, when does the panic start setting? You've got a long way to go here. You've got another 14 metres of climbing at least to do, and you're stalled out on the bottom of the route.
Yeah. When you look through the route in observation, quite often you can see how a move will be done, but sometimes when you get there, the holds might be worse than expected, or the moves might be further away, and that can just kind of jolt you a bit, I guess, and you kind of lose your flow. And it's important to not hesitate and just stick to your method and keep going with your original intended method. She just got through that bottom section. Let's see what she makes of this next crux.
Magda Ruck, certainly when she's injury-free as a climber, you think could be well at the business end of finals, let alone semis, but this move clearly absolutely desperate. I wonder if she'll take as long a rest as her compatriot Julia did 10 minutes ago.
You can really see she's asking the questions of the route there, trying to look for the sequence. She's coming up with blanks every time. You can see the way that she's fiddling around with all the different holds, thinking, where are the holds? This is not what I expected. Have a look through this next sequence then. This is where we saw Jakob Schubert go off the left heel. You see she keeps tapping with the left hand between the different holds. You see that a lot on outdoor climbing, people trying to find the holds, and don't see that so much indoors. It just proves how bad those holds are. She's not going for the left heel, hits the left foot as a smear, was in all sorts of trouble just before she went. Magdalena Rock off very early and never really found any form of rhythm there.
We can focus on Jonas McRae of Canada. Been keeping an eye on him, bottom right of the screen. He's looked very smooth up until this point, but the route really kicks in here.
Yeah, he lands, he's 22 years old, 12th last time out in Arco, so he's on good form at the moment. Good summer for him. good to see the Canadians joining the Americans and coming over here to Europe, spending the Europe in summer training, working hard. Quick work up to this next dyno.
Yeah, Elan looking really smooth up until here, but as I said, the route gets super physical.
Elbow's just starting to come up there. You can see he's getting pumped. Oof.
And it's the same move he lost low at Timmermans on.
Yeah, you can see as he went out to the right hand is sort of like a slotted crimp. He sort of fired into that, only just snared it. Maybe we'll have another chance to have a look at that. And then went up again. Let's have another look what we're going on. So he gets the right hand. It is an awful, awful slot crimp. Left hand's blocked as well. Never really found the form to fire up. And that move, that sort of dyno, when you bunch like that, it's very easy to jump backwards and not necessarily upwards. It's really hard not to just fire back off the wall. When you do fire off backwards like that, it's really difficult not to end up with completely straight arms on the jump as well, which we saw earlier from Martin Teklas.
Charlie Bosco, Mike Langley here as ever, joined by very special guest, pro climber Jim Pope. Here at Ratho in Edinburgh. And a very, very hard move. Rounds holds 13 and 14 on the women's route so far. I was saying earlier that there's a small group in the women's lead who seem to be perhaps slightly pulling away from the rest of the field as the season goes on. But this move could really throw some surprises in. I appreciate that as the semi-final goes on, you'd expect the climbers to get higher and higher. But it's a desperate move, and we could lose a Janja Garnbret, Anna Verhoeven, one of the bigger names for the final, very easily on that move. It could well throw up some surprises. The route setters won't be thinking about that right now, though. They'll just be keen for a few more climbers to progress through it to minimise the size of that tie on the scores.
Yeah, you think with sort of 7 climbers going through with double top, that's the real 7 that we expect to go through. They're the kind of they're the ones who pretty much every competition they're their top 7.
Yeah.
But it really opens the door, and a move like this and a sequence like this at the bottom, like Charlie says, it's very, very easy to slip there. So maybe some of the big 4, the top 7, some of those guys, if we find people slipping down there, it really could open the door for somebody else. A great opportunity for somebody here to make a name for themselves.
And the climbers, as I mentioned backstage, will no doubt be figuring this out. The women flying out. We're on to our 9th climber already, Mathilde Becerra, who we're watching now. They'll know there's a hard move low down just from how quickly the climbers are getting out the door. Mathilde trying to fight through and seems to find a nice sequence.
Yeah, she's the high left foot there, which I think really helped give her the height to get up to that crimp. Let's see if she can figure out the sequence for this next part. I believe they need to undercut this yellow volume with their left hand to get the feet up high enough to be able to reach up to the next crimp.
Alberto Gotta out on the men's route as we lose Mathilde Becerra, and still we await anyone reaching halfway on that women's route. The route setters have really packed it in here.
Just have another look at Mathilde. Just before she went up for that move, I just had a look over my shoulders to see the wall kind of in reality rather than on the screen, and the distance is staggering. So like Jim said, I think it's about the hand sequence there, getting up, getting on board that volume and really building up the feet to make the big move up. At that point they already look tired, to be honest. So yeah, reading that sequence, getting it right, it looks a lot more basic than it actually is, it turns out.
Alberto Gotta, meanwhile, men's route. Around half a dozen moves short of where we just lost Elan, and we lost low at Timmermans earlier on. Good split so far in the men's route, it would seem. A couple of stopper moves, but we've seen climbers progressing to various different heights. The route setters will be happy with that. As I say, on the women's, they'll be watching nervously. But it's certainly something that the route setters are aware of, that we have got half a dozen really, really strong women, and they have to set something for them as well as the other people in the semi, and Alberto nails that move with the right hand.
Yeah, interesting there from Alberto. First climber to go with the right hand, and only the right hand. Incredible lock-off strength in his right hand as he hit that. Left hand didn't need to come up. He managed to steady himself and then go up. Route setters did think that'd be a possibility, but a risky one. And like we said in the women's route, there is an opportunity here for the door to open for somebody potentially lower down on the list, someone like Alberto, to make a real name for themselves here with that sort of move in the route, a real low percentage jump. 2/3 of the way up route, and as we saw with Shinichiro's taking the opportunity to find a real rest here, and it is going to come down to that top boulder problem on the men's route.
Delaney Miller is out onto the women's semi-final route. Keep an eye on her bottom right. Good all-round climber, Delaney. She's done her spell in the commentary box as well. Alberto seemingly got a bit of juice left, trying to milk a rest out of what is not a great position.
Yeah,
now he heads into the super section.
He's chasing down Shinichiro Nomura from Japan. This is around move 31. He's up there at 35 plus. Simo Lorenzo behind him at 33 plus as well, so he's getting very close to a high point here and looking quite good, but this seems to be the real separation move now. Big cut loose, just a smear for the left foot and into the next compression boulder problem.
You can see those holds on the arete are tiny there. I believe that was the same move as...
Yeah, we don't actually have the route topper in front of us, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure, like Jim said, that Shinichiro is 35 plus, he'll be equaling that. So that looks like the early cut-off point for a finals position at the moment.
So Delaney Miller now approaches what is proving to be by far and away the crux of the lower section of the women's route. Let's just have another quick look at Alberto. Yeah, it was that slap up with the right hand onto the arete.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens with that sequence. There's a little sort of screw on right foothold, and I think they need that, but he could see there his right foot was just sort of didn't really have anywhere to put it, to be honest. It was just desperation at that stage. It gives us a good opportunity to concentrate on Delaney then.
Also going for the heel hook method.
Yeah, when Mathilde Becerra figured this move out and got the high feet, as you say, Jim, we lose Delaney. As you said with Mathilde, once she found that method, it didn't actually look too bad a move by the standards of World Cup semi-final routes.
Yeah, that was interesting. You see that she was really trying to work the percentages there. You could just see her looking up thinking, I need to go with as much chance of getting that next hold as possible. And she, in the end, I think the way that she was hesitating meant that she kind of lost the momentum in the move. You could see her just looking around, searching for the right foot. Then the right foot got caught behind the rope a little bit. Yeah, really stalled out on that move. And a lot of head shaking going on here around the arena for the women's route. Some of the route setters and the, see Eddie Felt, the photographer, just a minute ago, just shaking his head, wondering what's going on here. Stern start to the women's competition, but a lot of very big names still to come. Got like Molly Thompson, Smith, Hannah Schubert. We've got Ashima Shirashi in there, Mina Malkovich. Oh, the list goes on. Jain Kim, Anak Verhoeven, Janja Garnbrett. I'm sure we'll start to see some climbers getting through the bottom of the route smoothly and nicely. Ramon Julian Poblanc, then Ramone comes out into the men's competition, and what a career he's had.
Yeah, certainly has. Not had the results go his way in the last couple of years. It's a good opportunity for him.
One of the smaller competitors we've seen so far, so we'll see how he gets on the jump and the rest of the climb.
They say Ramone is one of the short climbers, but he's got a history of falling off the dynos in the routes, and you know, we've seen it time and time again with him. We saw it in Paris in the World Championships. We've seen it earlier on in the season, just falling on the sort of more dynamic moves, and you know, he is a real endurance beast. And let's hope this route suits him. Hopefully the dyno won't be too far. And you know, whenever the route setters talk about these dynos, they always consider Ramone. I think they think Ramone has to be able to do it. That's our benchmark.
Jim, you and I are both on the smaller end of the climbing scale.
Yeah.
Slightly taller than Ramone, but still slightly smaller climbers. Is there anything you can do to prepare to get better at those dynos, get more confident at them, or does part of your heart sink when you see one on a route?
I think for me, my heart still sinks a little bit, but I've been training to get better at them. I've been practicing a lot, and I'm sure everyone has. Like, as the styles change, dynos are becoming more common in climbs, and you just have to adapt to the style.
Anne-Sophie Collo, Switzerland, second last time out in Arco. She is out onto the wall.
I remember a few years ago, 5 coming towards 10 years ago, route setting, put a dyno in a route, it would have been, you would have been struck down as the devil. That's just unheard of. But now, the way that the modern styles changed, the show for climbing has gone on, the audience is built, and that sort of move, just you see it week in, week out now. And yeah, like you say, the athletes just have to take it on board. And Ramone is one of those guys who just has to get on with it, basically.
I think his climbing style's not quite changed. He's not changed enough over the years. this season he's not had as good results as previous years, and I think that could be due to the style changing and him not adapting to it. I'm not sure. But
you always feel with Ramon though he could just pull one out the bag. I mean, it was such a stack of gold medals in the cabinet at home already. You always feel like he could, if he's on form, he could be a finalist and he could be a winner.
Such an accomplished climber, both indoors and outdoors.
And Sophie Coller's now at that key move, and again trying the heel hook with the left. Doesn't like the look of it. Doesn't look as if she's going to change her position. She drops back down to have a think about it. Ramon again trying to manufacture a rest. At least getting the weight off the forearm slightly, albeit onto the biceps. He's underway again. And Sophie Coller again tries a heel hook. Second last time out in Arco. What can she do here in Edinburgh? She falls on that move that is stopping so many of the women.
You can just see every athlete when they get to that stage is desperately searching for something with the right foot. It's only a smear that they've got, and it really sucks the power out because they're on a right hand undercut, left heel, and nothing for the right foot. Desperate situations. Ramon sticks the jump. Nicely done. No such issues for him, and he did it really nicely as well. It's always a bit of a heart in your mouth situation when the climbers get there, and you can see what he's up against. The right hand was absolutely, it's a jug for these guys realistically, and he hit it really well, and I'm sure he'll manufacture a really good rest here and push into that top section. Maybe this could be Ramon's day.
Great view of him as he climbs towards our camera. He's about to hit the steepest section of the wall here in Edinburgh at the current angle, the angle that the route setters chose. That roof is probably 10 degrees off horizontal. It's extremely steep part of the wall. He's heading out onto the arête on the right as we look at it. Pretty much where the camera is. He's going to come straight towards that. It's on that desperate series of crimps on the arête itself. We might just be about to glimpse the first one.
Looking super comfortable in that slopey undercut there.
Yeah, he'll be, you'd imagine he'll be quite happy with these moves.
Holds that swing, come on.
Come on, Ramon. Crowd enjoying this. They know they're watching a legend, and they know they're watching a very good performance from him. He looks in control at this stage. There, the first of the heel hooks. Again, goes through with the right hand. Such a physical section of climbing this. Ramon, the leg is beginning to shake as the effort tells.
Agonising to watch Ramon on this top section. You can see the shaking, that every limb is shaking. What a fight here. This is a really impressive set of compression moves here. What an angle to see what he's up against. Great burn there. That'll be a new high point. Yeah, crowd appreciate that effort, and yeah, that was an incredible angle. You can see the force going through his heels there. He never seemed to get the heel on just as he would have liked, and a great insight to what they're up against. 30, 40 moves after leaving the ground.
Yeah, really interesting to watch Ramon. You watch here, he looks quite calm, and then he's off. It seemed for the last 30 seconds of his attempt, he was alternating between being on the limit of falling off and then suddenly getting comfortable again. He seemed to veer every couple of seconds between the two. I think he probably had a bit left in the tank, actually.
Yeah.
In terms of pump and endurance. But superb effort. That will give him an early lead at this stage.
I was asking the route setters about that top section, saying if your feet come off, what chance do you have to hold it? And they said, you know, realistically, they think the feet can come off on the last move, and you better stick the last hold. But before that, if your feet come off, you're in big trouble. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes for the other climbers. Will anybody even get there? Ramon is quite early out in this semi-final round. There's still a lot of climbers to go, but that was a really impressive high point. I think we could be seeing some tops here.
Dinara factored in over. Could see her back in the World Cups. Approaching that Crux move as it stands. We've also got some ties a bit higher up, around 17 plus as well. Again, she's dropping back down, just trying to find the method. The high feet seems to be the way to go from what we've seen.
Yeah, this next move will be coming up to move 13 and 13 plus. We have 6 female athletes fallen on this move. Let's see what Dinara can do. Oof. And also falls, joins that gang of 13 plus on the scoreboard. Big, big, big disappointment. An absolute heartbreaker to go through a qualification round try your hardest all day yesterday, really stressful evening back at the hotel, come out and fall off at the bottom of the wall. Absolute heartbreaker, but she's not on her own. Interesting start to the women's route here. Hopefully we're going to start seeing people pushing through those moves. 17 plus only is the high point of a possible 53.
Hopefully we will see some of the female climbers getting higher up on the route later into the round. The climb looks pretty exciting up there. There's lots of big holds and volumes, and I think it'll be good for the spectators to watch.
Slightly risky manoeuvre there from Christoph Hanger. Don't know if you noticed, rope in the teeth as he did a move just before he clipped. Can't imagine what would happen if he fell off.
Yeah,
got away with it.
Trip to the orthodontist, I think that was what would be happening if he fell off with the rope in his mouth.
But yeah, we've seen this in the women's league climbing a few times, perhaps not to this extent, but we have seen routes that look as if they've got a real stopper move, and then that last 7, 8, 9 climbers come out and seemingly cruise through it. So don't write off this women's route yet, but certainly a bit of a nervous start if you're a route setter.
Yeah, I've just looked over my shoulder and Dinara's just come into the holding zone, and yeah, she's not got much support team here this weekend. She's absolutely she's really upset, basically, absolutely devastated. Just trying to keep her head down, stay away from the conversation, stay away from the media, and just, yeah, absolutely devastated.
Christoph Hanker again, one of the shorter climbers. That move looked a bit of a long way.
Interestingly enough, she probably hasn't even seen the scores, so she may not know that's pretty much where everyone's falling off, so it's not a total disaster. And always expect to get higher on the route than that. Christoph Hanker then lines up into this next section, into the dyno. We've seen a few climbers now. If they get through this section, they have a good chance of burning through that top section. It's Hannah Slaney, as you can see on the screen there, joins us in the competition. No problem for Christoph on the jump.
Hannah Slaney, of course, in the bouldering semi-final in Munich just over a month ago. Now finds herself in a lead semi-final here in Edinburgh.
Yeah, come fresh off a good week in Innsbruck as well at the Youth World Championships. Really been on form in 2017. Can she find the sequences through this bottom section then? Has got an incredible lock-off strength on her, so that move may suit her. She's quite long in the arms. It's always going to be about the sequence, so she's known for drilling in those lock-offs. Christoph Hanker then into the top section, into the roof, traversing from left to right. Great set of sequences here in the men's competition. See, he's looking for the bicycle with the left foot, looking for options. Releasing, that's going to be interesting now. Big release, so much power required. Just needs to dial the feet in and get the clip. There is nothing really for the feet at that stage. Nothing comfortable at least.
Oh.
Big trouble here for Hanke.
Wow. Really good effort to hold that thumb catch and get the plus onto the hold. I think that'll definitely give him a couple of points over some others.
Big cheer goes up for Hannah Slaney. She got through his moves 13, but now she's up into the next section. Can she get more than 17 plus? It's Matilda Becerra up there at the moment, joint with Claudia Ghisolfi. Let's have a look at this move then. Hannah Slaney
spotted the undercut.
She's read it well, but it looks desperate from here out. She looks left, looks for an option. Trying to find the sequence for the feet.
Plus.
Looking for a
there we go.
flip on the left hand. Good route reading here from Hannah Slaney, but she's burnt so much energy to get there. Can she get this next hold? Does well. Crowd goes wild. A very patriotic crowd here. This is good work from Hannah. Huge crowd cheer. She'll know that means a lot, even though she's so close to the bottom of the wall. This is a good burn.
Yeah, Hannah Slaney, she'll have known there's a very hard move low down from the fact that she's out so quickly onto the wall despite climbing 13th. The crowd then go absolutely crazy as she does a hard move. Surely she's put 2 and 2 together and knows that this is already putting her in a very, very good position. And it seems as if, all things being relative, the route eased off slightly, but now once again kicks in. She's used so much energy low down. Has she got anything left? She does not, unfortunately, but superb effort from Hannah Slaney. The crowd love that.
It's going to be really interesting to see her reaction here, because the crowd has gone absolutely wild. She's fallen off halfway on the route, slightly under halfway. She will not know at this stage exactly what's gone on earlier on in the round, apart from the fact that she's come out in 13th so fast. Yeah, she was going up to move 25 there, 24 plus, something like that. You can see there. Yeah, really good burn from Hannah. 13th climber out, so she can't do any worse than that at the moment. So already a good round for Hannah Slaney, good position to be in. Yeah, that gives us a good insight, Jim. It is possible to get through move 13 and then move 17 plus.
Halfway through the competition as well. She only needs 5 people to slip up on that low section and she could be in her first World Cup final.
That's how tight it is. Just the margins are incredible in this game. Hannes Puman then from Sweden. Jim, you had a quick chat with him yesterday. How's he feeling after qualifiers?
Yeah, he's good. I think he had a good show in qualifiers. He's just had a really good season, so it's impressive to see that he's maintained it throughout the whole season. It's pretty hard for the athletes to peak and be performing at their best throughout the year. So to see him still making semis is really impressive.
Scores on the top of your screen, just to let you know, are not up to date, unfortunately. We're having some problems with the judges' Wi-Fi, I'm told, as well as our connection. I do apologise. It's frustrating for us as well. So they are not all of the scores. It's most of the scores, but unfortunately not all of them. We'll try our best to bring you up to date as and when we can.
So as Hannes Pumans works through the bottom of the wall here, get to use our wall-mounted camera to have a little bit of a look at what they're up against. Okay, and we're very excited to say we have Hannah Slaney from Team GB fresh off the wall.
Hannah, unbelievable performance. You must realise that was a high point from the crowd's reaction.
Yeah, I kind of guessed, but I didn't know anything really. But.
And when you were backstage, did you realise that there was obviously a hard move low down because the women had been coming out so fast?
No, I mean I knew they were going fast, but I didn't know. I didn't know.
And that key move, it was around hole 13, 14 where the well began to steepen. Do you think you got the correct method? It looked like you were absolutely at the limit.
I think I got the correct method. I mean, it's what's right for me, but it felt hard. It still felt really hard.
Well, the cleaning break is underway and you're leading the competition, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, pretty excited.
So we're back with Hannes Puman then after hearing from Hannah Slaney. No issues on the jump for him. Cruising through this far. Jim looking really fresh.
Yeah, let's see what he makes of this top section. Hannah's a pretty powerful climber. Does good in the boulder comps as well, and I think there's a pretty bouldery sequence up here, so this could be the route for him.
Great close up. See the whites of his eyes there as he looks through this next section. You're really starting to see him thinking fast now, looking really quickly at the next sequence. He looks like he's in a big trouble here. As fires out, that's a really good effort. The way he went cleanly through the right foot, finds the right toe, same as Ramon. You can see the desperation now.
Has skipped a clip, so yeah.
Yeah, he was already hitting the red line there, you're thinking. It was just about getting points on the board. Men's route really hotting up here. The women's route starting to see some progress with Hannah Slaney as the women's route is halfway through, so a cleaning rotation is going on there. Let's have another look here. This is a really good close-up of what he's up against there. The way that he went through that lower section was really neat, actually. You could see he had a quick look at the sequence, looked at his options, and then just pounced out to the right-hand side. Really good thinking, but like Jim said, he'd missed the clip, so he knew realistically he probably wasn't going to get back down to that. But at that stage in the game, it was all about just trying to get points on the board.
It'll be interesting to see what score the route setters give and the judges give him there, whether they think it was possible to put the clip in from the hold he got to. If not, he'll be marked down to the hold where it would have last been possible to put the clip.
So we're down to our 11th climber in the men's competition. 13 women have already gone through. Men slightly slower, obviously getting much higher up on the wall than the women. Bettina Johnson-Hafsars as the women continue after the cleaning break. Fedor Sonolov from Ukraine after a mixed season will be joining us next. We talked about him in the highlights of yesterday's qualifiers, if you saw that. Fedor, yeah, really mixed season this year, but could well be on for a good burn on this route.
Yes, it's interesting chatting to Hannah Slaney then, by the way. Yeah, Fedor, man, certainly capable of making the finals here. The women's route you'd expect normally to be able to name the majority of the finalists in advance of the semi, but I think this move could throw it. But the men's has been much more unpredictable for much of the season. Fedor absolutely someone that can feature.
think that's really interesting about the men's competition. It's pretty open for anyone. It's not like the women's where there's consistently the same 6, 7 climbers going through and there's just one spot left for someone else to sneak in. In the men's, it's pretty varied each round.
Yeah, it's varied. Like, look at Fede, 3rd in Villars, 26th in Chamonix, 24th in Arco.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really mixed bag, and then he had 9th at the European Championship. So yeah, it's the field is so deep and vast and so strong, and it's really hard to pick a set of finalists, especially in the men's category. The women, some more consistency. You know, Yanni Garber, Anik Verhoeven, Jain Kim, always there or thereabouts.
Little slip there from Fede, managed to recover that.
Tina Johnson Hafsars then from Norway joins us after the women's cleaning break, 14th climber out. Let's see if she can start matching Hannah Slaney's high point.
Yeah, of course the route setters haven't had nearly the same amount of cleaning to do, so we haven't had anyone past halfway. Desperate women's route. Fede, meanwhile, I've just come back. Looks like he's been pretty in control up until this stage.
Yeah, it's looking pretty smooth. See what he makes of this next section in the jump.
I've been told that our connection problems have been sorted. Apologies for those earlier on. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley, joined by special guest Jim Pope here in the commentary box. And we're watching Tina Johnson Hafsas bottom right of your screen, and their main screen, Fede Samoilov, looking slightly uncomfortable with the arms quite so wide there. A lot of power going through the shoulders.
I think that's Fede's climbing style. Quite often from the bottom of the climb, his elbows out, shoulders behind his head, and yeah, seems to work for him.
Sticks the big move up to the right hand. That's the move where we lost Loic Timmermans earlier on.
Yeah, that's a real show of force there from Fede. He went up, kept the left hand on, didn't need to make the double jump. That was really impressive, and Fede just looks so at home on the crimps. These in-cut small holes are really his party piece. This is looking good now. Gets a bit more slopey through this section though, and a bit steeper, a lot more power required. Very small athlete, not much to him, but yeah, absolutely at home on the smaller grips. See if he likes this next section then. This is where it really starts to count. Fede just the 11th climber out, needs to get the clip. Can you get the clip through this next section? Oh, doesn't cut loose. Really well. Good tension through the left foot there.
Oh my God, that drop knee.
Incredible drop knee. Will he be able to get the quick draw here? Will he be able to get a clip? Seems to have found a bit of a position, but you can see it just resting against his left shin there. He needs to go back down to get it. He's in big trouble here. He's trying to find the right sequence.
Oh,
Tina Johnson Hafsas is through that tough move on the women's route as well. Bottom right of the screen.
That he clipped off just there. It's like a cornflake.
Fede looking at this next section then. It's only Ramone who's been through here so far. This is looking good, and what a fight it is.
Slightly wrong-handed, but I wouldn't be surprised if he can match this one. Yeah, there we go.
Extraordinary show of force here from Fede Samoilov. Goes out with the left hand, needs to keep the feet on. And he is off after a superb fight through the roof. And Tina Johnson Hafsas also off.
Yeah, that's a good burn from Tina, really good from her. 24 plus, I believe that will be exactly the same as Hannah Slaney. Yeah, it was a really good from her. She was looking quite casual up to there as well. That was really interesting. I think with half of the women's field now, we're really going to start to see this women's route, see some real action in the top half. Hopefully, everybody wants to see it. I'm sure it's going to come as well. And yeah, great burn from Fede Samoilov. Top section there, matching on that sort of in-cut jog. Everyone's shaking their head around their ear. How on earth he managed to match that and have enough energy left to do that? It was incredible.
It was one of the best bits of action we've had so far in the semi-final. And Jim, when you said, "Oh, that drop knee,"
I think I threw up a little bit.
I think all of us did a little sick in the mouth at the thought of what the knee must feel like at that point. But followed up by that match and that tiny crimp on a pretty much horizontal roof.
He's definitely comfortable on those kind of moves. Which World Cup was it earlier in the year where he made qualified for the finals in first place by matching Villa?
Yeah, Villa. Now we see the wall here in Edinburgh. Huge screen immediately to the right, and you can see the walls of the real quarry, if you like, immediately behind our competition wall. It is an absolutely unique venue. Certainly not too many issues with being too hot in here, but it is surprisingly humid. And as I mentioned earlier, conditions not quite as consistent as you might imagine. You might think that an indoor arena like this, even with one with a lot of air coming through it, would be quite consistent, but it does seem to change a lot, and it's certainly something the route setters picked up on. Pleased to say it's a pretty decent climbing temperature now, albeit quite humid. Was absolutely freezing earlier in the week. The thought of coming and belaying here in January doesn't really bear thinking about.
Rizzo then our first Japanese athlete out in the semi-final round, and I would say there's not too many Japanese here this weekend. Jim, it's been the Asian game. I think it's the Asian Games has been on at the same time. That's taken a lot of the Japanese team out. What have you heard on the grapevine? Japanese preferring that comp over the Lead World Cup here in Edinburgh.
I think for them, the Asian Championships is a pretty big event. I'm not sure whether it'll be part of a selection for the Olympics in a couple of years' time. So it's still regarded as a, continental championships. It could be bigger than a World Cup, I reckon. Especially for competing with so many Japanese climbers is almost as hard as a World Cup, I think.
Be interesting to know how they managed to select which athletes came to Edinburgh here and which ones stayed out in Iran for the Asian Championships there. Interesting. Maybe we can find out later exactly what happened there in terms of the selection. But yeah, some of the favourites are still here though. Also we've got Riza, we've got Kachira Konaga in the men's. Masahiro is going to be there as well. So yeah, plenty of strong Japanese still in the field. Shows you how the depth of the Japanese team. Athletes all around the world competing. They took away an absolute boot full of medals up in the Asian Championships there. I saw that.
Risa just making her way through that tricky section.
We're starting to see climbers get through that move 13 plus with much more consistency now. The stronger athletes, going by the form book of yesterday's qualifiers, getting through 13 plus with not too many issues, but this section now is really the stopper. It's only a couple of athletes have got through this next move, around 17 and 18. Got to find the sequence. We saw Hannah Slaney working the hands, managing to get the left hand onto the underside of that left hand volume.
So, as I said earlier, maybe don't panic just yet for this women's route. We are now seeing climbers getting consistently through that move, albeit they're not getting to the top section of the wall, but they are beginning to get through that Crux move. But again, there's another Crux move just above it, around 17 plus.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm just looking at the route map for the route. There's actually, the route set has scored it, where that volume is, score 17, 18 and 19. So it proves that there's actually a double set of undercuts under there. So go up to the left hand like that, drop the right hand down, and then flip the left hand to get a score 19. The next hold up is 20. Interestingly enough, if they go from hole 17 straight to 20.
It's only 17 plus.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we saw from Hannah Slaney. Got those undercuts switched around a lot. It looked like a slightly complicated way of doing it, but when you look at the route map, it's probably how the route setters planned it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. What do you think, Jim? Will you be able to see that from the ground with the binoculars during your 6 minutes observation period? They're facing the wall. It's on an overhang. It's quite difficult to get the angle on it when you're having a look from the ground.
I think from the positioning of the hold on the volume, they'd assume it'd be fine just to go up from there, straight up to the crimp, and to go from the undercut. Although it makes the move a little bit bigger, it's a lot more comfortable position, but they might not have spotted that in viewing.
And what's interesting is just how much the observational period is key. You've got to get the sequences right. You saw Hannah Slaney, she knew where those holds were. She dropped into it straight away with no hesitation. She read it right.
Yeah.
That's so important. Big jump up for Javier on the right hand. Falls off the jump as well. That's quite surprising. He was looking quite steady up to that point. Fortunate to see him drop. Disappointed, of course. So many climbers now getting through that section. Interesting. Kai Lightner, the big man from the USA, is going to be out next on that men's route. The route is down 15 women already out of 26 gone through here in the semi-final round. Really firing through. And we have an interview with Tina Johnson Hafsars from Norway.
Tina Johnson, fantastic effort. That's such a hard route you've got for the women.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. It was like it looks hard from the ground, but it's even harder.
Just gone on the loudspeaker. Don't worry, you're live. But yeah, that Crux move, it looked as if you figured it out quite quickly. Around the hole 13?
Well, I was standing there for quite a while. I was confused because I had two methods and none of them were working. And I realized I had a heel hook after a while. It was confusing.
And higher up, it looks as if it just carries on, it just keeps coming.
Yeah, it gets harder. And then, I don't know, the next section after I fell looks pretty hard as well. So I guess you have to be really strong for this one.
Okay, tough women's route, but congratulations, great effort.
Thanks.
Good to hear from Tina Johnson-F. there. That was actually quite interesting. She dropped somehow she dropped into a live interview across the entire arena, as well as to you guys on. Oh yeah, so everybody gets a slice with Charlie Bosco there for a minute. Back to the competition then, Salome Ramon. And Kai Lightner joins the competition.
Oh, really
the
big move
side.
there for Salome. This next one's going to be even bigger. Hopefully she spots the potential high left foot like Mathilde did.
So it's the real separation move here. Round move 13. Drops into the crimp on the edge of the board. She's got to go quickly now, otherwise she's going to be in big trouble. Fires it up. You can see her setting herself. Really unsure of what to do there. She did have the right sequence, but it's so hard in that position when you think, oh, I'm so low down on the route. Is this right? She manages to reverse the sequence, but she's basically going to get herself into the exactly same spot once again.
It was a tough move to get to where she is, so she can't. It could be hard to reverse back to rest on that white volume.
Has a look now then, sets the right heel, working hard, fires up, and in the end comes off. You know, she knew she was in a spot of trouble there. Tries to fire up with the left hand, doesn't happen. Salome Ramon is out there as well. Huge ties here in the women's competition, all around move 13 plus. But we get to concentrate on the big man. It's Kai Lightner, exciting athlete, already such a young athlete, competed in the World Youth Championships in Innsbruck. That style of his, Jim, it's so flowy, just sort of using those long libs, just cruising between the holds.
Might even go right hand again. Kai came home from the World Youth Championships in Innsbruck with a couple medals, so I'm sure for him.
Yeah, third in the combined.
Yeah.
So he's really taking on the Olympic kind of challenge,
Yeah.
lead, speed and boulder.
And third in the lead as well, so
Yeah,
it's definitely a good competition for him.
Great week for him. Some great photos actually on the IFSC. If you've not seen those of Kai in the bouldering round, real showboating actually. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, let's
Good
see if he's got anything for the crowd today. Maybe when he sticks that jump, we'll see a little wave.
Wave to the crowd. Everyone loves that, really, don't they? A little bit of interaction with the crowd is always good. Kai just taking an opportunity then to rest out. Huge ball here in Raffo. Just tuned in. Semi-final round here, halfway through roughly in the men's, just over halfway through in the women's. Semi-final round, 26 athletes trying to get down to just the 8 in tonight's final. With the speed climbing final coming up for you later after this as well. So we hope you can join us for that. And look what Kai's up against. Size of his crimps, desperate. That's what we said. Fede Samuilov looking so happy, but difference in height between Fede and Kai Lightner here. Kai Lightner lining up the jump there. He may just be able to reach up, goes for it, manages to stick the left hand, keeps it in, keeps the feet on. No issues in the end for Kai.
No wave, but
He looks
there's
so
still
bunched in that.
time.
He looks so bunched in that jump, didn't he? I was going to say it's a jump. It was described as a jump. No such luck for Kai. Not even barely a reach for him, to be honest. Yeah, this is the next section though. He's looking really solid at the moment. That's the next section. The bowler problem that's coming out of this, it's really going to be the separator, whether you get through into finals or not.
Just stuck his tongue out there for Eddie, the cameraman.
Switzerland starts her campaign on the women's route. Quite disappointing women's route so far, I would say, unfortunately. It's hard to say, you know, it's such a tough game in the route setting, but not quite what I was expecting up to this stage. I'm sure we'll see some fireworks still on the women's route, plenty of time.
Kai's still looking really comfortable here. Still looks like he's got a lot left in the tank. See how he gets on with these small holds on the arete. Being a bigger athlete then, if his feet come off, it's going to be really hard to get them back on. Quite a lot of weight through the legs. But Kai then looking so comfortable. Oh, look at that position from Kai. Can he get his body into this right toe? This is really impressive here from Kai. If he can get through cleanly through this next one, you think he's going to be in for a good shout. Not even breaking a sweat. Oh, that was really interesting. Just sort of went from 0 pump to 100% pump in one move there. He had his heels on nicely on the arete. I think his right heel popped off was what took him off, actually. Maybe we can get a replay. Yes, this is Kai on the jump. No, it's told to see the way that he kept his foot on. The way that he powered down through the right toe, just kept the tension through the right-hand side of the body. This is the top section then. Just watch that heel. We saw from these close-ups of Ramon earlier, the way how hard the heel had to work. You can see he hit that hold, hit it with the back 3 fingers, was desperate to try and get his front finger on there, to try and claw it into a crimp. How on earth Fedor Samoilov managed to match that hold, I have no idea. Yeah, I think you could fit 2 of Fedor inside Kai. Completely different athletes, but that's what's fascinating. Unfortunately, Kai Chung is down back on the floor. Kai clearly must have been pretty pumped. He's unable to untie his knot down there, so there we have it, and it's Tina Johnson, 24 plus. Up there with Hannah Slaney, 24 plus, and then all around the similar moves then. 17 plus and 13 plus where Catherine Chung just came off. Ramon Julian Blanc still up there, 37 plus. He's putting himself in a great position. Quite a few men still to come. Fedor Samoilov, we're just talking about 37. Kai Lightner will be up there as well, probably around 36 plus, something like that. Wait for those results to update, but yeah, good fight in the men's competition. It's good to see the climbers really high up on the wall, just a couple of moves off the top, and I think, I said it earlier, I think we could be seeing some tops here. That would be really exciting, or at least people falling off near the top of the wall. Yeah, the last move on this men's climb looks like a crowd pleaser, so hopefully we're gonna see people up there. So the men's competition, that's Yann Genou there, one of the route setters from, actually French, but is in the UK, based in the UK, goes up the wall for a cleaning rotation. And big cheer goes up because it's Molly Thompson-Smith after a staggering round yesterday. 1 top for her in the qualifiers and came off the last move in the second route, and the local MC, Liam Lonsdale's got some sort of special theme going for when the GB climbers come out. That's nice to see. I'm sure he gives it maximum as always for all the other athletes, that's his style. But yeah, extra round of applause for Molly Thompson-Smith. Although that's she can do then. Can she get through this tricky section? Can she get through this lower boulder problem? Molly Thompson-Smith. We want to see athletes high up on the wall now, and maybe this is the first opportunity to see it. She comes out in 18th of 26, so we're into the top selection now. So Molly Thompson-Smith then chasing down a high point set by Hannah Slaney and Tina Johnson-Hapstars, 24 plus. Molly made her first League World Cup final in Arco last couple months ago. Let's see if she can make her second one today in front of the big home crowd here in Edinburgh. Yeah, Molly is one of the 3 climbers tied in 8th spot, coming through to the semi-final round with 1 top and a score of 45 plus on her second route. Molly Thompson-Smith then looking up for this move, 13 plus. Can she hit it? Oh, she just comes up short. Desperate work here from Molly. Sticks it second time round. Quick nicely reload done after the first burn. That was good. Can she get through this next section then and start progressing up into this route? Really getting into the meat of it. Let's hope she spots this undercut. Interesting if she does, because maybe she read the route with fellow GB climber Hannah Slaney. Maybe she knows this sequence. She doesn't look like she's spotted it at the moment. She needs to tilt the head round to the left and have a little look. Looks like she's lining it up. This could be big trouble here for Molly. Whoa.
I was going to say she sticks it, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
Molly Thompson-Smith is off, and it really seems to be a route reading issue that's really holding back the climbers now. Only 2 climbers have read it correctly, and only 2 climbers have got through that move. Desperate scenes here in the lead semi-final for the women's route. Not finding the sequence at all. I might have to run off and have a chat with the route setter to find out what the intention was there. So you can see there, route clean going on the right hand side. That means we're halfway through the men's competition. Molly Thompson-Smith, head down, walks off the stage. Real shame here. Hannah Schubert will be out next, followed by Ashima Shirashi. Desperate scenes here, Jim, in the women's route.
Yeah.
Not often we see a lead semi-final with so many climbers falling near the bottom of the route.
Yeah, I mean that move is really stopper, and I think every now and then it's quite cool to see that, because like you were saying, it does chuck some different names into the finals. Like, I think potentially we could be seeing Hannah and Tina both in finals today if just a couple more people make some slips. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, Hannah Schubert, this is a potential opportunity for her. Could go either way for any of the top climbers here. I think we're going to see quite an interesting women's final lineup. Hannah Schubert will be looking to capitalise. She may not know the opportunities there just yet. She will be looking to make a final here. She puts a lot of expectation on herself. Men's route still being clean. Yan Zhenu high on the route, close to the arete. We saw Ramone fighting through, and Fede Samoilov the same. Focus on Hannah. It's the belayer's arm you can see there. She's climbing fairly slowly. Already 40 seconds gone, but given where the climbs have been falling, that might not be too bad an idea. A measured approach could well be rewarded here. Jim, she's a lady you know well from Innsbruck.
Yeah, I was staying at Hannah's over the summer while I competed in Innsbruck and to train for a little while, and while I was competing in the competitions. She's been training hard over the summer, so it'll be good to see what shape she's in today's competition.
So here she is, the key move early on the route. Goes for the toe hook rather than the heel. It's a clip done early.
And see just how bad those crimps are that they're holding there.
And again, she chooses to drop down and set herself. To give you some idea, she's used up 1.5 minutes of her time already at this stage.
Sticks that crimp the same way, same method Molly did. See how she does in this section.
Yeah, so now what we saw from Hannah Slaney, and what the route setters have clearly got in mind, is that you jimmy around on this yellow volume until you end up with both hands underclinging on it before you move out right. Will she read it correctly? Will she even know those holds are there on the inside of that yellow volume? Presumably you can see them.
I'm surprised more of the athletes haven't thought of that. You know, if once you stood up on the underside of that volume, it's really positive. It's a jug almost.
So Hannah decides not to do it and goes up with the right hand and is off. That is not how the route setters intended it, and she looks slightly frustrated. Let's have another look. She went up with the right hand, chose not to undercling on that yellow volume, and doing the move that way. It doesn't quite look impossible, but not too far off. Men's route cleaned. Hannah Schubert on her way. 7 climbers still to come. They are the 7 climbers who got 2 tops yesterday in the qualifying round. Ashima Shirashi, next climber out onto the women's wall. Thomas Johan of France, there he is. Men's route. See it. That's the roar from the crowd when Ashima comes out. Just going through her individual route reading. Just recently completed her third double of lead and boulder in the Youth World Championships, third in a row. It was in Innsbruck last week. She did it in Arco 2015, Guangzhou 2016, Arco and Innsbruck 2017.
Yeah, interesting. Just nipped off there to try and find out what's going on with this sequence. Yeah, like Jim said before, you have to use the 2 holds that are under the volume. But the athletes saying they've really struggled to see it in the observational period. And I've just seen just a quick chat with Hannah Schubert, just saying the left-hander going off is so bad that they just look up and think, it's so far, what do I do? And they just fire for it and fall off. So it really just seems to be a route reading issue. I mean, it must be just, maybe it's just virtually impossible to see from the ground. Very rare that you see those mistakes from the climbers. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix of a very tricky sequence to read and just not being able to find the position to get into those undercuts. Really, really interesting scenes here in the women's qualifiers. Let's see, is there a big upset on the cards? Ashima Shirashi is out on the wall. You can see her at the bottom right hand of the side of the screen, just working her way through the bottom few moves. It's going to be interesting now.
Thomas Johan, in stark contrast, absolutely flying on the men's route, not wasting any time. Here's Ashima heading up towards that low crux. Took a long time in this semi-final before anyone actually pushed through that move.
So Ashima lines up the left hill then on move 13. Try and concentrate on both climbers at the same here. Thomas Johan on the right sticks the jump nicely. He'll be into the next hard crux section through the roof, and Ashima's just chalking up, having a look at all of the options here. Goes for the panel edge. She is going to be a little bit short on this move. It's going to be a big move here for Ashima. Also opts for trying to find something for the right foot. Uses all of that strength though. That was nicely done. So much power through the right arm. Good job for Ashima on that next-gen. But is this move coming up into this left-hand volume? So we know that they are struggling to see those holds underneath the volume. They've not spotted them.
Thomas Johan, meanwhile, is taking something of a rest before launching into this very steepest section of this men's route here through the almost horizontal roof. Both climbers just pausing. Very different heights on the wall, I might add. Thomas Johan almost at the top of the men's route. Ashima's still low on the women's. But
yeah, Ashima just had a little fondle of the bottom left-hand side of that volume. She did have a quick feel. Whether she found the hold under there or not, she is still desperately looking up at that right hand, seeing how far away it is. Here we go then, Ashima's lining it up. Thomas Johan's looking good on the right hand side as well on the men's route. Ashima drops into, yes, that's it. Ashima's got the sequence. She's found the way through, and Thomas Johan's on the top of the route for the men's.
Yeah, Thomas Johan fighting hard here. You can see fatigue beginning to kick in, movements getting a bit quicker, a bit jerkier, but he's nailing it at this stage. Slaps up with the right hand. You can see how high he is. Now with the left, tries to cross through and falls. 2 moves short of the top. Superb effort from Thomas Johan.
This is a superb effort from Ashima as well. She got through that section with relative ease. She had a good look around for what the sequence was, found it nicely in the end, and doesn't seem to have burnt too much energy in that classic Ashima style. Slow and controlled, very Jain Kim style, just so much endurance. So slow, so steady. This route really could suit Ashima here, and I think we're going to start to see some real progress on this route.
Yeah, just to bear in mind, 2 minutes 40 left for Ashima.
That's a new high point though. That's move 25, 24 plus was the high point with Tina Johnson and Hannah Slaney going into that move, so this is looking good now.
But that's Ashima into the final. High point, only 6 climbers to come. Remember, we want to take 8 through. We may end up with more with all the ties. This is really good effort from Ashima, and she, on a route that has stopped some of the world's best climbers, looks seemingly untroubled at this stage.
Yeah, there's been so much anticipation and just waiting for the years to go by for Ashima to come into the senior competition, for her now to come into it. So exciting for her to be one of the climbers, just one of 3 climbers to get through that lower crux around move 17. It's just so inspiring, and What a talent Ashima is. One of the greatest female rock climbers, or rock climbers in general, of all time. This is fantastic. Do we get to see another burn from Ashima live in front of us here?
Hanwoo Kim out on the men's route, bottom right. Let's keep an eye on Ashima though. This is our first chance to see this section of moves.
Yeah, there's 2 small screw-on holds on the side of that round volume. She's opted to go off the lower one. Maybe she can bump up the left hand. There is 2 on that side. She's quite stretched here across the shoulders, but you can see in her face she's starting to grit the teeth a little bit, and she's off. It was a good burn, but still halfway on the wall for Ashima, but that puts her comfortably into the final, as Charlie says. Interesting, that sequence. There was 2 holds there available for her. Maybe she didn't see the lower one. Really cryptic women's route here.
And interesting as well, I was glad we changed the camera angle. It looked like there's something of a corner that Ashima is in there. And it's the most open of corners and absolutely no use. Saw it better from the ground. Let's have another look. This is Thomas Yuan. So he just tried to go through with the right hand. Actually didn't get too close to the hole, but a superb effort from him. Once our scores update, we'll let you know. You can see there, as I say, it looks like on the left-hand side of the orange panel there's something of a corner, but it's all but useless. No use trying to get a foot out to the left. It was that slap up with the right hand that stopped Ashima. So that will be Ashima through into the final this evening. 6 climbers still to come. Mina Markovic, Jessie Pilz, Julia Chanaudy, Jain Kim, Anna Verhoeven and Janja Garnbrett.
Starting to get a lot more interesting now. We're seeing climbers up into higher territory on the female climb. I know the crowd here definitely would like to see some people up near the head wall, so there's still five strong climbers left that I'm pretty sure we'll see some high climbs.
Hanwoo Kim suddenly finds himself alone here in Edinburgh. The cadence with which the women are coming out slowed slightly. I suspect the organisers are keen to get the men and the women finishing at roughly the same time, if at all possible.
A lot of interesting chat going on behind us in the call zone for the climbers as they come off the wall. Everyone trying to find out.
So good news.
Hannibal Quinn then from Korea lining up the right hand side, having a look at the dyno. That's what we expect to see from Hannibal, getting high point. Good season from him so far. Let's have a look on the jump then. Lines it up.
Easy, keeps that right foot.
Climbers coming later on in the competition really having no issues with that right foot at all. Keeping it on. Jump doesn't seem to be a problem from them. Bit of a surprise. Route sets think it was mostly going to be jumps.
Let's have a look at Mina Markovic trying to figure out this move through the roof.
Mina Markovic on move 13 then. Has a look at this next section. Lines it up and falls. Early drop from Mina Markovic. Didn't even really give it a good burn up to the left hand. Real disappointment here in the women's route.
I think that does mean that Hannah's into the finals.
Yeah, just a few climbers left. Ashima's through. That means Hannah Slaney, sorry, and Tina Johnson Hafsars, with their burn through that move, got themselves into a finals, which we were talking about it earlier. Will it open up the door for one of the other earlier athletes? And it has done. Hannibal Kim in the meantime is heading out onto the right hand side, looking really fresh. You can see it on his face, but this is the move where the power has to kick in. Power endurance really now through this section. This is looking really good now. Are we in for a possible shout here for a top? Hannibal Kim into this next section. Only a couple of athletes so far have got through here. Lines it up. Got to be precise. You can see him setting himself. Hits it. Doesn't hit it well enough. Doesn't get into the back of the hold. Drags off the front of it. Hannibal Kim comes down. Quite a lot of athletes still to come in the men's competition, so it's going to be really interesting if that's going to be enough. Will Bosley from the UK will be out next. And in the women's competition, Jessie Pilz joins us. Jim, you know Jessie really well. Such an experienced athlete.
Yeah, Jessie's been doing really well in the comps for the last couple of years. She's always well, she's really consistently been making finals. Podium a couple times. She's still never got her win, so that'd be really good to see for her soon.
I think what's going to be really interesting in the women's competition, we've got 5 climbers still to come. 2 climbers have got through move 17, but we need 8 to go through into the final. So how they're going to separate the field, we're going to have to wait for the results to come through. Just see it across the top of the screen, they're waiting for Ashima's name to be added to that list. She's way above there, 24 plus. She's up there around move 31. Jessie Pills then into this next section. Huge response from the crowd as well, because it's Will Bosey who joins the competition. Will Bosey's had a really great summer. Jim, your training partner, you're kind of like brothers out there on the wall. How are you nervous for Will?
Yeah, me and Will have competed with each other for 6-7 years now, so I always really enjoy competing with him, and this time we couldn't be in semi-finals together, but it's always great to watch Will climb, and I hope he has a really good run.
Jessie Pills then on move 13, sticks it nicely. This is good, this we want to see. A few athletes, with only 5 athletes still to come, gets through into the next move. Real upset to see Mina Markovic not get through that move.
Yeah, that was pretty unlucky for Mina. Mina had a similar incident in Arco actually. There was a move pretty low down in the semi-finals where she slipped, I believe.
Will Jessie figure out the undercut, the undercling, the 17, 18, 19 move?
You can see her just having a look up straight away, then you can see how bad that left hand, the way she's pumping it with the left hand is a true sign of how bad it is. Trying to find something decent out of it. She's looking up, needs to find the options now. Interesting, there are footholds out to the left, but you can see the elbow starting to raise. She's in big trouble here.
Yeah, Jessie's had almost a monopoly on 5th, it would seem, this year in 2017.
Jessie Pills then into this next section. She's looking up. Could be trouble here for... Oh, it's so close. We've seen that a number of times, people getting really close to that move but not sticking it. Jessie Pills also off move 17. Really interesting competition here so far in Edinburgh. Really, really interesting. Not seen that so many times with the root read issues or the beta sequencing issues. You know, I wouldn't want to put it all really on the athletes. Really, you know,
yeah.
We've seen a few of them get through, but obviously you just can't see the holds.
Will making good progress here, coming up towards the jump.
Will Bosey then trains here in Raffo, knows the wall so well. I think if there's ever a World Cup where he could perform well, this could be his day.
Yep, Williams had a good run of competitions here at Rathco. He's all the European youth comps, he's always made final and I believe podium a couple of times. So let's see if he can put himself into a final position today.
I mean, what's it like, Tim? You know, just before Will moves to this next section, to be able to climb on a wall that you're so familiar with, it must psychologically, it must feel good.
Yeah, I think to be able to climb at your home wall, it's definitely, and you've got everyone you know here is cheering you on. It's definitely going to be encouraging you. You know, you wanna climb for yourself, but also when you've got that support from your friends and family there, you want to do it for them as well. So whether that puts a bit of pressure on him, it may do, but he can also use that to kind of give him the encouragement. Yeah,
big cheer for Will then. No issues through that section, and it is the top of the route here that's really going to separate this group of male athletes. And Will Bosey, bit of a showboat there, sort of campuses up with one hand through the next section.
Yeah, and he's lining up now to get through that roof section, particularly steep section of the wall. Gets the heel hook in. You can see just beginning to breathe heavily. The effort showing on his face as he really fights, but the crowd giving him a lot of support. He's got to head out right towards our camera, towards that small screw-on hole that you just saw there.
Come on, Will.
Crossing through, the crowd absolutely loving this. And the feet cut loose, but he somehow stays on.
Come on, Will.
Desperation there on the right hand.
Just sliding off of that.
What a painful, slow death that was as he hit that right hand and just slowly creeped off it. Great burn though. To be honest, I don't think it might not be enough to go through. We've seen quite a few athletes now get through that section.
I'm sure he'll be happy with that though.
Interesting to see where that puts him. You're around move 35, so it's going to be close. We've got a lot of big names still to come as Julia Chanaudy starts for Team France on the left end, and straight away we get to see her on this first Crux move.
So Julia Chanaudy, the 4th to last climber out already on this women's route. This women's semi-final flew by. We've seen climbers getting through this lower section fairly consistently now, and Julia Chanaudy read it perfectly and she's through. But now another real stopper move, trying to find the way off this yellow volume.
Yeah, 3 climbers left after Julia Chanaudy. She seems to have found the method underneath there. You can see her left hand go straight down to it. So hopefully she's realised the holds are there. Right hand will go into the undercut, left hand will drop underneath. That's 17, 18 and 19 all there. Heads up to move 20 and puts herself into the finals. Easily, nicely done. Yeah, big ties here in the women's competition. From now it'll be from the 4th climber down to the 8th, all tied on 17 plus. Julia Chanaudy then showing great form once again here in 2017. Julia Chanaudy then, currently that's move 25. 24 plus was Hannah Slaney and Tina Johnson half stars plus. Only Ashima Shirashi has got through that section so far. Good angle to see what she's up against there. Terrible crimps, but that's good. She's obviously easily through to the finals with that performance for 3 climbers still to come. Good burn from her.
Clearly a really hard route for the girls here. I think the style is quite different to what they're used to. I mean, although it kind of can be a stereotype, I think the girls' climbs are often pretty crimpy, more endurance-based, whereas this climb seems to be pretty powerful, lots of big holds, big slopers, so might be something they're not so used to.
Matahiro then through this first section with no problems at all, and we could see from Will Bosey it's all going to be about this top section. Be great to see a top here. Jim, put you on the spot. What are you thinking? Prediction for a top at all?
Yeah, I think we can see one. I reckon Stefano or Ramon definitely have Jakob. There's plenty of guys who get top in both qualifiers, and I think from seeing where the climbers have got today already so far in the round, I think we could definitely see a top.
Yeah, 4 climbers going through with 2 tops, 3 tied in the 5th spot with 1 top. So yeah, Jim, I think you could be right. I think we could be in for a shout here. That would be great to see. And you know, with Janja, Anneke Verhoeven, Jain Kim still to come out in the women's, maybe we could see a high point at least in the women's, or a top. Top would be staggering.
That'd definitely be good to see. I think Anneke and Janja are both doing so well this season, and Jain Kim. There's definitely potential to see someone getting high up.
Matahiro then comes into the tops 3rd of the route, drops into this dyno, the real separation move earlier on, but latest athletes have had no real issues with it at all. Quite a lot of the athletes managed to keep their feet on during this next move. So it's become less of a dyno, more of a big powerful move up on the right hand. No issues for Matahiro, drops into a quick 1 armour into the next set of volumes before getting the feet back on.
Yep.
Putting that into practice here in Edinburgh. Jain Kim out onto the wall. Bottom right of your screen, winner of the last Lead World Cup in Arco.
Yeah, an absolute legend, and she's chasing down. Oh, just as we lose Matahiro, that was interesting through that section. He seemed to stall out, couldn't quite find the sequences. Yeah, I was just going to say, Jain Kim chasing down. Already a legend at just 16. Ashima Shirashi, 31 is her score currently. So, wonder what Jain Kim will make of that sequence through moves 17, 18 and 19.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, she's got to get through move 13 first.
She's definitely strong on the lock, so I reckon she'll go for the heel method and pull up through move 13.
It's very rare that you see Jain Kim making a sequencing error.
Yeah.
She's just one of those athletes that really concentrates on the sequences, makes virtually no mistakes.
She's got a lot of experience in competitions as well. She really knows what she's doing. I'm sure she'll have read this move right. Maybe not.
So here we go then, move 13. This would be a huge upset if Jain Kim couldn't find the right sequence here. Goes for the panel edge without the left foot on.
Whoa.
Goes for high feet. Incredible strength on the right arm to do that. Oh, the way that she goes up to that move 14 was frankly ridiculous. The way that she managed to build the feet up there. No other climber's done that. That was
crimping on the panel there. That was some Fadir level crimping.
Here we go then into this next section. She looks very composed at the moment. Let's see if she can get through here. Get through neatly and come into the competition. Push for a final position. If she gets through this move, finals is pretty much guaranteed. She has found the sequence on the left-hand side then. Drops into the left-hand undercut. This is looking neat here from Jain Kim. Shows that styler once again, so composed. Barely a fluster as she moves through. That was she made it look like a different move. Holds up to hold 20, gets herself into the finals. Jain Kim will be representing once again.
Still looking really composed here. And on the male route we have Max Rudiger from Austria, making his way through the lower section of the wall.
So Jain Kim then getting close to move 24 plus. That's where we lost Tina Johnson-Hafsars and Hannah Slaney. We've seen Julia Shanadi and Ashima get through that section, move 31 for Ashima. Quite a bit higher up on the wall. Here we go, just 3 minutes left on the clock, so she's halfway through her time. That was a little bit quicker than Ashima was up to this stage, but you can see her having a really good look around now. Big move up, no mistakes, though, so strong, as well as intelligent climbing here from Jain Kim.
Nicely done.
See how quick the men's route, Max Rudiger already up level with her on the wall. Completely different styles of routes here. See there from the wall mounted camera exactly what Jain Kim's got. Yeah, quite a hard route to read here for the women's. Quite awkward sequences. Really hard to get through neatly and without burning too much energy. Max on the right hand side on the small screen, lining up the jump then. If he can get through this section, maybe he can push for a final position like he did in Arco. Podium for him over in Italy just a few weeks ago. Jain Kim then getting very close to Ashima's high point, getting close to move 31.
Really tough move here, bumping up onto there.
Hits the left hand. Will she find some of the options around? There is 2 holes on the side of that volume. Will she bump up? She can see her head moving around to the left hand side there. Really intelligent climbing here from Jain Kim. She's fighting hard. They're really wrestling with the top of that. That is potentially the next hole, depending on how the route setters have scored it, how the judges give it to her. Ashima is currently leading the way with a score of 31. That's the next move.
Jain Kim, winner of the last World Cup in Arco, looking smooth as ever here. 1 minute 19 left on the clock for her. Max Rudiger as well had an excellent weekend in Arco, 3rd for him. 2 of our podium places from Arco currently on the wall in Edinburgh, and Max fighting. You might be able to hear him shouting. Even from here, he must be 50 metres away. Our microphones are picking it up.
Jain Kim gets through that next move, finds a high point here. Real excitement all of a sudden here in Edinburgh. Max is high, Jain Kim's high. She's looking really good now, really into the top end of the competition. Max needs to get the clip.
Yeah, Max needs to find the clip and doesn't quite manage it. You could see he was getting tired, but just kept fighting.
Jain Kim keeps the fight alive as well then. Into this next section, she's currently around move 35. This is looking really good. So high up on the wall with just 2 climbers, Anna Verhoeven and Janja Garnbret still to come. Jain Kim with just 30 seconds left. If she doesn't fall off, she will time out. There's no chance she's going to find a top. She does fall. That was a good burn. Proves how hard this route is. That'll be around a 36 plus, comfortably through to the final round. And we're very pleased to say we have Ashima Shiriashi with us.
Ashima, fantastic effort. This route absolutely desperate in the women's, and it looks like it's hard right from the start.
Yeah, it was definitely very difficult from the beginning, and you didn't really expect it. Like looking at it from observation, you weren't sure which holds were bad and which ones were like very good. So like the tricky sequences are really hard to read and unexpected.
And it seems like we've seen quite a lot of the climbers struggling to read the women's route. When you're doing the observation, were there some holds that you just couldn't see from where you were?
I think it was mostly that like the holds, some of them are hidden by like the volumes, or they were just hard to see which angle they're the best to grab at.
But you must be happy with your performance. You're in the final.
Yeah, I'm so happy and excited to compete in the finals.
Okay, well, congratulations, and we'll see you tonight.
Thank you.
On with the competition then, it's Domon Skoffic comes out into the men's competition. Last year's overall World Cup winner, Domon Skoffic, seems to be slightly back on form here after a ropey start to his season, by his standards anyway. It's been a great season in terms of his results, but he's been slightly disappointed. Said he's been tired going through different rounds of the competition. Jim, you know him well. Yeah. What's he been saying?
Yeah, I think he had a shoulder injury towards the start of the season as well. I'm not sure where he got it. He had to pull out of a couple competitions in the Boulder circuit because of that, so that could have affected some of his training as well. But it's great to see he's back on form and back doing well in the semi-finals. I think Arco didn't go for him as well as he would have planned, but yeah, let's see what he can do today.
Anak Verhoeven joins us then. She has just 40 seconds before coming out onto the stage to get onto the wall. Has a quick look, and that's what you really see with Anak, really just making sure she memorises the route. She does so much planning and preparation in terms of the route reading, the route maps, just always making notes, drawing pictures, and that's a real style of her climbing. So what's going to be really interesting is did she spot that sequence around 17, 18 and 19? Yeah. Will she make the same mistake as so many others, or will she push through like Jain Kim, Ashima Shirashi and a couple of the others?
As we said earlier, Anak, she knows she's in really good shape at the moment. She recently got the first ascent of a 9A plus, so she's clearly in good form. Let's see how it goes for her.
Yeah, as Charlie said earlier on when he asked Anak how she was feeling, said, "Yeah, I feel great." And what an interesting psychology that is going through in a semi-final.
Yeah, just got back from chatting to Ashima. Very happy young woman. She'll be back here this evening. Domon, be interesting to see how he gets on. 2017 just not been his year, and in 2016 it seemed like he couldn't miss. But didn't seem to enjoy the bouldering season much this year. Seemed tired at times this season. But he's had a pretty decent break since the last World Cup. Training, of course, but certainly in with a good shout here in Edinburgh. Over, meanwhile, no problems with that lower crux. Just need to figure out this yellow volume with the cross throughs. Just keep an eye on the scores on top of your screen. These are not the updated scores. Apologies again. I'm told that the problem is with the judges' scoring tablets.
I think because we're in a hole in the ground, the signal and the Wi-Fi is not great down here, and the judges' scoring apps are having trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi to update the scores.
We do know Ashima is currently in second place. It's Jain Kim, the only climber to go past her. Ashima's sitting in 31, Jain Kim 36. Domon Skoffic, big move out to the right, goes very dynamically. A lot of confidence that he used to just fire across there, didn't bother trying to keep his feet on, just gave it 100% effort, and now into this top section. This is where it's going to count. Solskjaer is leading the way with 41 according to our scoring system. Max Rudiger's right up there as well. Ramon Julian, Felia Samoilov, they're all into that top section, into the top last 3 or 4 moves. So that's what it's going to take to get through to the finals.
Yeah, keep an eye as well on Anak Verhoeven, bottom of your screen. Heading up towards that huge quarter circle, that pizza slice volume. It marks roughly the mid-height on the women's route. Here's Domon, who'll come towards our camera. That tiny bolt-on round hole that you can see at the top of the screen now, level with the IFSC logo. That's the hole we saw Will Bosey on. As Mike so correctly described it, the Heartbreak Hotel move, just peeled off it. Domin looking like he's got some juice left, but really having to fight now.
It's a really tough move to kick the feet up here, cutting loose on those two slopey holds and that volume. He's got his heel in. He must feel in a happy position now.
These are the updated results, I'm being told. Jain Kim first place, 36 plus. You can see there Shima Shirashi second place.
Thomas Kosic moving into this top section then, really close to the top of the route here, just 4 or 5 moves to go and looking good, manages to snare the clip. Quick work there on the clip, you can see him working hard, see him breathing hard, but it's all about the right heel now. If there's any slips off the right heel, he's going to be in big trouble.
Still managing to shake out on these holds here where we've seen all the other climbers really battling just to stay on. Think we could see our first top.
Yes, he's certainly climbing superbly, Domin Skofic. As we mentioned earlier, the route setters think if your feet come off unexpectedly at this stage, it's almost impossible to stay on the route, but Domin using all the power through his hips, hamstring, lower back, keeping those heels in place. Now he's having to really work to keep that toe on though. The crowd get behind him. He moves it up to a toe hook.
Come on.
Decides he prefers the heel. Can he cross through with the right hand?
Got the victory last move now.
Domin Skofic so close to a top. So close, unbelievably close to Domin Skofic. But he's the 8th to last climber out and he's got the new high point.
Yeah, this is really interesting now, so close to the top of the wall. He had the last hold in his hand, but 7 climbers still to come. Got to be in for shouts for tops here, and plenty of them. Potentially ties going through into the final. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much. Gives us an opportunity to focus on Anak. She's looking for the holes around the left-hand side. Comes up short. This is desperate scenes here now for Anak Verhoeven. She's got to find the right sequence, got to find the method. Saw other climbers matching on that left hand that she's on. Drops through on one of the footholds currently. Anak Verhoeven just... the fact that she's got a left toe on there rather than heel, she's struggling to get the weight around on the left hand side. Got to really tuck around onto that round volume, find those jibs, the screw-ons onto the side of it, lines it up once again, comes up short. Doesn't matter really though, easily through to the final. She probably knows that, to be fair, with so many climbers coming back so quickly, really rattling through here, the women's semi-final. She looks up, she's slightly disappointed, but yeah, at least she didn't waste too much effort getting herself into the final.
Ladies and gentlemen of Edinburgh, welcome from Switzerland, Lightner.
Sasha's just being taken back into isolation there. I'm not sure what's happened. We'll try and try and find out for you.
I'm pretty sure actually, the way that you just see the jury president just pointed up towards the ceiling there. I think it's actually a lighting issue. They do have spotlights on the wall. Maybe they're just pointing up to something else actually, because they say they've got spotlights, so I don't imagine that's too much of a problem. There may just be a quick tour issue. We saw it in Arco with one of the clips just wrapping itself over itself. Desperately trying to strain over to the side to see. A few technical bits and bobs here in Edinburgh. Plenty for the judges to be dealing with. Lights come back on. It's daylight in here, so the light is absolutely fine with the lights off. They've stuck them back on, so I hope that's not the inconsistency. Obviously we're looking for a fair competition throughout the semi-final. So important in these competitions, there's so many varying factors. Going to make sure it's fair's fair for every athlete. Just joining us, we're very close to the end of the semi-final round here, with just one female athlete left to come, Janja Garnbret. Already have a very strong set of finalists got through in the women's category. Quite a few disappointments as well. A lot of climbers falling very early on the women's route. You can see it there just where the sort of wall changes angle. There's a yellow volume just above that. So many climbers have dropped off there, struggling to find the sequence. Men's route, 7 climbers still to climb. Sasha Lehmann is out next. He got to the bottom route but got ushered away very swiftly. So we're just going to see what the technical issue is there. A few climbers still to come out then. Looking forward to the speed climbing after this. After that we'll be into the lead final.
Yeah, the wall's suddenly empty here in Edinburgh. Not entirely sure what's going on. As Jim mentioned, Sasha Lehmann just led back into isolation. A few people scurrying around. Apologies, we have had 1 or 2 technical problems Jim Pope put it very succinctly, being in a hole in the ground. It's a very light and aesthetic hole in the ground, but there's no getting away from the basic geography of the place, and we have had 1 or 2 technical issues. I do apologise, frustrating for us as well.
Yesterday there was a full-on power cut, so thankfully we've not had anything like that today.
Yeah, I think half of Scotland went out yesterday. So
Just from trying to power the
sound system, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's our espresso machine, actually.
So yeah, I can see one of the route setters making a beeline for the front of the wall, so let's see if it is a technical issue with the wall or something else. Charlie Bosco's going to have a little scope around, send in packing, see what we can find out. And Jim, interesting semi-final so far.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's good to see the girls starting to get higher on their route, and we've still got the big ones to come, so hopefully we'll see some people up there. And again, watching Domin just then get falling on the last move, it's definitely, we've seen that it's possible to get there, and there's still so many climbers left in the guys, so I'm pretty certain we'll see a top.
Yeah, with Domin coming off the last hold there, if he was the second last climber out, I think it would have been a really cool show. It's still great, obviously, but really enjoying the men's route especially. But yeah, I think we could be in for a number of shouts here. There's a high chance we might actually be able to hear from Domin at some point soon.
Charlie's giving the thumbs up. I think we're about to get an interview.
Yeah, so at the moment we're just waiting. There is a technical incident on the wall, so both left and the right hand routes have been paused. Gives us an opportunity just to reflect on what's happened so far. Yeah, quite interesting. Obviously, Jim, you know, it's so difficult to set routes at this level, and it seems to be, if the climbers found the sequence in the women's route, they found their way through that hole 17, 18 and 19. The route was the level they expected. You know, it's hard, it's a semi-final, it's super hard, that's what you expect. And here we go then, let's just have a look at Domin. So the men's route is very different. A really steady away climbing up to a nice jump, and then it all comes down into the lower section. We will be hearing from Domin relatively soon. And I believe Liam Lonsdale, the local MC, is revving up the crowd, starting to hopefully get to a position where we can get the competition back underway. It will be really interesting to see what Domin have to say. This is him again on that jump. Just as we finish with Domin, we will be able to hear from him. We're quite looking forward to this. Let's hear from them. Domin Skoffic then.
Domin, it seems like you haven't always enjoyed every World Cup in 2017, but it looked like you enjoyed this morning.
Yeah, for sure. Like, a lot of things changed, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And tell us about the route. It looked like an incredible fight, and you were so close to the top.
Yeah, I would say it's not my style of the route, or like the last part is really my style. The first wasn't that much, so I was a little bit afraid of the first part. On the observation, it looked hard or easy at the same time. It's hard to tell. It's really strange feeling. But on the end, it turned out really good, and I climbed really relaxed, and yeah, I did what I could.
And what's been the secret? It seems like you've found your form again suddenly.
I would say it's all mental.
You look like you needed a bit of a rest early in the season. Just explain what you mean.
Yeah, it was just like this year was an experiment year. Like doing both bouldering and lead is super hard for me. If the bouldering season would go well, then I would be probably relaxed and yeah, that's good and everything. But if it doesn't go as you planned, then everything starts to fall apart, and then suddenly you start to doubt yourself and your skills and everything, and you come unrelaxed, tense, and it's hard to climb like that because all the moves you're doing like so ugly and like not rational at all. So yeah, I think it's all about mental to get back to the relaxed mode and really enjoy every route, and then everything comes together, I guess.
Everything came together today. Yeah. Fantastic performance. Well done. We'll see you this evening.
Thank you.
We're just having a good chat there with Domin. You can see him on the final move here. This is the replay of his action on that route. You could just see down the left-hand side, Anneke Verhoeven had a really good burn as well. She's clearly through to the finals. This is classic sport climbing here pinging off the last move. I think the route setters will be high-fiving themselves a little bit about that, especially if they see a top. Quite exciting to see climbers coming off the last move.
Still not sure about what's gone on here in terms of the technical incident. Still on hold for the moment.
Yeah, Mike just got back from chatting to Dom, and really good to hear him in such a positive frame of mind. He's, as I said to him, it doesn't look as if he's enjoyed himself in quite a few of the competitions this year, but absolutely looked like he enjoyed himself today. Really, really good to see him back in form after such an amazing year last year.
Just proves how much sports psychology makes a huge difference. With so many athletes so sort of close together in their physical ability, it really is the ones who've got their mental game on that day, that route. Just makes a huge difference, and we're glad to say Sasha Lehmann is back out, and this time he gets to climb because the competition is back underway. There's 7 climbers, including Sasha, left in the men's competition. Just Yanni Garnbrett still to come in the women, so a delayed wait for her. Hopefully that's not affected her at all. She can stay calm. And Yanni is one of the people we talk about a lot about sports psychology and how she manages to just week in, week out come out and dominate the rounds.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to really get stressed by anything, actually. But we'll see. As you say, this is a test for her, but she's used to climbing last. If you think about some of the situations she's come out in, still only 18 years old, of course, come out in front of 10,000 people in the Place du Mont Blanc in Chamonix under the spotlight. Didn't seem to affect her at all. So I'd imagine she can keep it pretty dialed down, even though she's been made to wait slightly. And we have finally got updated scores here, so we can confirm who'll be in the final. And there's going to be a massive tie. Jessie Piltz, Hannah Schubert, Molly Thompson-Smith, Risa Ota, Mathilde Becerra, Claudia Ghisolfi, Mia Krampel, all tied on that 17-plus move. It's a huge tie in the women's. But above them, out on their own, 36-plus for Jain Kim, Ashima Shirashi, Anna Verhoeven just behind her, Julia Shanodi, Tina Johnson-Hafsas and Hannah Slaney. All got past that 17-plus move.
So this women's route then, 53 moves to the top of the wall. Haven't really been troubling the scorers at all. Jain Kim the highest, 36 plus. Those top moves not troubled the scorers, like I said, any way whatsoever. But Yanni Garnbrett, time and time again, she has come out and topped semi-finals routes where no one else has looked that dangerous on them. Let's see if she can get through this early section and make sure there's no mistakes through move 13. Gets it nicely. The way that Jain Kim did that with the high foot was very, very impressive. Yanni Garnbrett opting for the more traditional sequence of using the left heel and smearing on the right foot. But this is the next move then. Can she find something with the hands? Gets through. She's on to hold 17. It's 18 and 19 under the volume. Will she find the sequence with the left hand? If she doesn't, has she got the power to go straight up with the right hand? She's looking up at the moment, firing up. She looks like she's going to go for it. This could be a big upset here. Oh, but hits it. Yanni Garnbrett shows incredible show of force there. What strength. Doesn't need holds 18 and 19. Falls. Doesn't fall where so many climbers have tied. A huge tie in that move, 17 plus. Yanni Garnbrett uses exactly the same sequence but has no such issues. Incredible power on the left arm there from Yanni. That was absolutely awesome. Now she gets to go into the top section. She's around move 24. She's into the finals already with that. No problems whatsoever there. She doesn't really need to go any further. If she wanted, she could drop off here, but once again, it's critical that you climb well in every single round. Sasha Lehmann goes for the jump on the right hand side then, no issues for him, bit of a pause for him, a slightly nervous wait before he goes for it. Yanni Garnbrett then, 53 moves is the top hold, she's currently around 24, a long, long way to go here for Yanni. Plenty of time still in the bag, 3 minutes 35 still on the clock for her. Very, very hard women's semi-final route here. Semi-final route is so crucial, it's generally the hardest round of the competition, the final tends to be a little bit easier. Climbers a bit more tired by the time they come through to the finals. The finals is the real show, and semi-finals is really about getting the result. Unfortunately, they've not got the result around the 8th position with so many ties. But in the men's competition, it's looking pretty clean and pretty good.
I think going back to qualifiers, there'll be a clean enough split to just have 8 people in the female final. So the setters should be pretty happy about that.
Sasha Lehmann falls then, doesn't really get into the meat of that top section. It won't be enough for him to get through as Yanni Garnbrett. This is where Anak fell short on the left hand, and Anak just tickled that left hand that Yanni gets on. Yanni looks good on that section now. Shima got up into the next section, move 31. Jain Kim 36 plus, so a few moves still to come if Janja Garnbret wants to go through this round in the top spot, the position that she's very, very much at home with. So many times she's gone through the semi-final round with one next to her name. Is it going to be again here in Edinburgh?
Still 2.5 minutes left for Janja. There's plenty of time for her to get atop of this route.
Staggeringly hard lead semi-finals here. It'd be interesting to hear from someone like Anak Verhoeven slightly later on whether she found the route, how she found it. This looks like it's such a hard route.
Yeah,
route setters have really turboed the route setting here. It's incredibly difficult. This is looking good now. Move 32 now for Janja Garnbret. Jain Kim a few moves ahead of her with 36 plus, and Janja going for that classic style of her swinging straight arms between the holds. Trying to use the joints, she only uses the shoulders as much as possible, just flowing between the routes. Has a look round for the clock, spots it. She will see that there's 1 minute 35 left for her on the board. She will not know where the other athletes are up to at this stage. She's currently resting on hold 35. A couple more moves and she'll find herself into the lead. Will she danger the top few sections of the route? Will she put herself into a staggering position to go through to the final? That's move 36. She just adjusts the left hand. She's currently on move 36. Jain Kim fell on this next move, going to this next crimp. Janja loses the feet. She's got to compose herself a little bit here. Pumping the left hand so hard. See her fighting. Grits her teeth. High point. Felled 37. Janja Garnbret will go through into the final in first position. This is all just showboating from this point onwards. Janja Garnbret
50 seconds left on the clock.
Janja Garnbret being made to work really hard now. Now she's really increased the pace. She's putting on a good show here. Sean Bailey joins us in the men's competition. You can see what Janja's up against there, just on the volume. Superb performance here once again from Janja Garnbret. She's already up to hold 41. Easy and comfortable here currently for Janja Garnbret. She had to work so hard through that section. She's managed to compose herself. She's looking tired now though. This is a really good burn from Janja Garnbret. Fantastic effort. That was on hold 44. And just as she comes off the wall, Sean Bailey starts his campaign. We will get to hear from Anak Verhoeven after an incredible performance.
Anak, you've been asking for hard routes for a while now from the IFSC. You got one today.
Oh yes, this was definitely a hard route. Well, onside climbing is always difficult, always different from just climbing during trainings or so, but some routes are particularly difficult when you have to onside them, and I think this route is one of those. There is a very big difference between onsiding this route or climbing it when you already know it.
But you feel like you came into this World Cup in excellent form.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, I've been training hard, so I'm really fit.
And looking forward to the finals, you must be very confident.
Yes, well, we'll see what happens, of course, but I know that I'm in a good shape, so I'll do what I can.
Okay, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Sean Bailey on the wall at the moment then in the men's competition. Sean has a mixed season really. Jim, Sean's been around Europe as well. He's obviously from the States, but he's been sticking around, staying in Europe, training, been in Innsbruck the whole time.
Sean stayed at my house in Sheffield for the last week actually, and we've had a couple of training sessions together at the climbing works and around Sheffield. He's in really good form, he's looking really strong, and he's feeling good about it. I mean, for him, it's coming towards the end of the season. He's not in the best shape as he was at the beginning, so I guess he's feeling pretty relaxed. Whatever comes now will just be a bonus for him. He can just enjoy himself on the climb.
Sean Bailey then one of the real stars of the future, just 21 years old, 8th in Villars, 5th in Briançon. Also had a great result, 11th in the Bouldering World Cup in Vale. So
yeah, good all-rounder.
He was 16th out last time in Arco, so he's done well to kind of, for him, he might have been a bit disappointed that looking at his other results this season. He's already into the top section here, needs to figure out his feet here, but looking so strong, Sean Bailey, looking really at home on that
really smooth,
big cut loose move. Can he push for a finals position now?
Here goes Sean Bailey. That was an interesting chat with Anak Verhoeven. As I said, she's been one of the harder routes. Can't complain today. Really good shot of Sean creeping up.
Sean looking really good here.
Yeah, looking composed. the fatigue just kicks in so quickly on this angle, and there you see it. We lose Sean.
Yeah, exactly what we were saying. As soon as you lose that right heel, it's so difficult to maintain the compression between the arete and those sort of slopey balls for the left hand.
So let's just have a look at the women's results. And there we see it. Just updated. Janja Garnbret. So we don't see a top on the women's route, but we do see a 42 plus. The route setters will be very relieved to see that after that first half a dozen or so climbers. Jain Kim, Shima Shirashi, Anna Rohoven, Julia Shanodi, Tina Johnson Halfsess, Hannah Slaney and Jessie Piltz, your top 8, and then that big tie on 17 plus. Also a big tie on 14 plus and 13 plus. No secrets where the tricky moves were on this women's route.
Yeah, like we said at the top of the show, there was an opportunity here with 7 climbers going through from the qualifiers with 2 tops. It seemed to be those were the 7 who were going to go through. There's been mistakes around that move 13 and move 17. That's opened the door. Someone like Hannah Slaney, Team GB, first ever lead World Cup finals, fantastic performance. Yeah, the door's open. Someone like that, she's taken the opportunity.
Yeah, it didn't mix up the order quite as much as you might have thought when you think about some of the climbers who've gone through. Mina Markovic being one of the high-profile casualties, but as I say, didn't throw the cat amongst the pigeons quite as much as we might have expected, to use a good old English phrase, while we're on the island. So, yeah, certainly Mina Markovic, the highest profile casualty of that really hard move at 13 plus. So, Marcello Bombardi, winner in Chamonix. 5th to last climber in the men's competition.
Qualified really high here with not quite 2 tops on both routes, but pretty close, and yeah, he's been looking really good all season, so it'll be interesting to see how he does today and next year as well.
Yeah, he was one of the 3 climbers to go through in that joint 5th spot with 1 top on one route and really high on the second route. The next 4 out all had double tops. We'll be looking for separation coming out for those, and I think there's a high chance we could be seeing more than 1 top here in the semi-final.
For sure.
Saw 4 climbers go through with 2 tops yesterday. Maybe we'll see a couple of tops here in the men's competition, and then they have to fight it out, duke it out in the final to see who takes away the gold.
Yeah, this comp's got a great hold selection actually. We've got a lot of volumes, a lot of good holds on the wall, and I'm sure the finals is going to be a real showcase. I'm sure the setters have put on set some great routes for the crowd, and the climbers are, yeah, they're in for a treat.
Yeah, Kachira Coronago, Jakob Schubert, Stefano Ghisolfi, Ramon Julian still to come. Some big hitters in the top 4, and one big hitter, Marcello Bombardi. His style just seems to be ultimate strength. So strong in the arms.
Yeah, he's quite a different build to the lead climbers. You know, huge arms, pretty stocky, but seems to be working.
Yeah, he actually won in Chamonix where there was all those ties in the final round. Managed to make it happen. I think it was on time in the end.
Yeah.
Win's a win.
Yeah, exactly.
Gold medal on the trophy cabinet at home. See if he can repeat that here in Edinburgh. Down to the final 5 climbers then. Women's competition already finished. Janja Garnbret took away the win, as it were, in the semi-final round. Went through. She'll go through into the final tonight in top spot. She'll be coming out last out of 8 climbers. We're all still scratching our heads a little bit to make sure it is actually just 8 that go through, with so many ties in that 8th spot. Marcello Bombardi then so solid on this route so far. The way he just crushes every single hold. Moves so slowly between the different sequences. See him lining up that slot now on the right hand. How bad that right hand is.
Tiny right hold.
Bad right hand means you get to fire off the left hand though. That forces that move over the right hand. Right hand so bad you have to jump with the right hand, so it's effectively go again with the right. Controls the jump, no problems. Stops the rotation on the swing, and now this is where the route really seems to start.
Try hard face coming out there.
His teeth are starting to bite the lips. This is really hard now, this next section. You need to get through this next bit clean and get onto that hold there. You can see it, that's actually on the arete, diagonally up and right from where he is, hold 32. Now then, he needs to get through this section quite clean. As Sean Bailey got through here really easily and fell on the next move. Marcello's good. He's already got that clip in, so he's in a good position, but he seems to be fading on the left arm quite a lot. Left hand's opening up a little bit. Hits the first hold on the erect, goes again. This is looking much better, but you can see he's grimacing now. He's really starting to fight. Marcello Barbani needs to get the heel on. He's in big trouble here. Hits the toe. The heel didn't quite have the height. Comes down, agonising for him at the top there. That camera really seems to show the pain on the climber's face on the last few moves.
You can see how comfortable he looked when he stuck that jump, and then how it all changed after that. So that next sequence really does ramp up and shows how tough it is.
Let's have another look then. It's all about that right toe and dropping into the right body position. Hits up the right foot, but when he hit it with a flat foot, he needs to hook there to be able to progress through that next stage. And yeah, his race was run, unfortunately. I think he knew that at that stage, and you see the classic sort of flat for the next hold to try and get a point.
Yeah, get that plus.
Wait till the scores update, see where that puts him. Just 4 climbers left in the men's competition. Just as we have a pause before Kachira comes out, very excited to say we have Janja Garnbrett.
Janja, great to have you back at the IFSC. We didn't see you in action in Innsbruck. You said enough comps already this year.
Yeah, I decided last minute to not do the World Youth Championship because I did the whole bouldering season, now the whole lead. So yeah, it's hard to combine both. So, and also the youth comps are not so relevant for me anymore, so I decided to take a rest.
And on the route today, I asked you how it was. You said hard.
Yeah, actually, I didn't expect the route to be like tricky already at the beginning, so I got a bit scared of the move because I didn't want to fall. So it was not super hard, it was just technical, the right foot position, the right body position. It just have to clip everything together, so yeah.
Okay, well, congratulations, great performance. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you so much.
So Kachira then, one of the last 4 male athletes out, 4 climbers who went through from the qualification round with 4 tops, a 21-year-old. 5th in Arco, last Lead World Cup that we saw, 10th in Briançon, won the World Games in Poland. So Kachira, one to watch out for here. You put that dynamic flow, quick climbing style to force here.
It's been really consistent this season, making the final in Arco, the final just out of the final in Briançon, coming 10th. Came 2nd at the World Cup in Chamonix, and then again just out of the final in Villars, but really consistent, climbing really well, and let's see if he can make the finals today.
It's Domin Skofic still leading the way with a high point of 42 plus. Tomas Giones 41, Sean Bailey 38 plus, great burn from him. Max Rudiger down in 4th at the moment with 38. Ramon looking sweet for a position in finals. He's going to be there tonight. That's going to be really exciting to see. Ramon 37 plus. Fede is up there as well. Hanwell Kim, Kai Lightner currently in the danger zones, around 7th and 8th. Marcello could be pushing for a spot up there as well. It's getting really tight at the top competition here in the men's semi-final. It really is those top 3 or 4 moves that really separates it, whether you get through to the finals or not. And Kachira Koronaga be one of those climbers who gets himself a position in the finals. And Charlie, interesting to hear from Janja there, just as we see Kachira on the bottom of the route. She just seems once again to turn up to a competition and just be completely on fire.
Yeah, extraordinary. I've said it before, it just challenges your journalistic ability to find new words to describe her performance, because she chose not to come to the Youth World Championships. Very honest of her as well to say, well, it's not really relevant for me anymore. And it's true, she could go and she'd probably win, but she's winning Senior Boulder World Cup, Senior Lead World Cup. She doesn't really need to go. Felt like she needed a rest, and it's worked a treat. She looked on superb form. And I've got to say, just chatting to her then, just before we went on air, She looks like she's slimmed down slightly. I mean, she was never exactly a heavy climber before, but she looks in amazing shape. Every muscle in her back visible when I was walking behind her. She looks like she's been hitting the wall hard, and whatever she's been doing worked a treat.
And what was interesting, that she got through that move 17 plus without using hold 18 and 19. So many other climbers have tried that, and she was the only one to go up to that hold 20 with success without using the previous holds. A real show of force for her there.
Well, I said at the time, you might be able to do it without swapping your hands around, but it'll be almost impossible. But Janja is pretty much as close to that line of impossible as anyone can get, and she stuck it, as you say. A bit of a high-risk way of doing it. Maybe didn't read it right. I'm pretty sure if she'd realised, she would have done it the slightly safer way, but
I think it was
got the power.
For us, it's a real heart-in-the-mouth moment, as we just saw that she was looking up to go, just as Kachira goes through that section of the dyno with no problem whatsoever. Yeah, the way that she was lining up the hole, I thought, oh dear, this could be a big mistake. No such issues though, had the power to get through it. Koronaga then into this top section. You can see him just working his hand on the back of his neck, slightly lower down. I think he's suffering with cold fingers a little bit. It is quite cold in here. He's been in the isolation zone for quite a long time. It is warm back there, and that transition out here onto the stage is tough. He does look round for time.
Kachira, the first of the 4 climbers who got 2 tops in the qualifiers yesterday. He'll be followed out by Jakob Schubert, Stefano Ghisolfi and Ramon Julian. And he's looking pretty steady up until this point. Quite a compact climber. I'm not sure how much he'll enjoy the roof section when you're really fighting to keep those feet on, and particularly that move to the big volume on the right-hand side of the arete where it looks like it's quite a stretch. Yeah, but we'll see. Might be able to choose a slightly different method.
That was really impressive there, just cutting loose on that left hand and palming on the right.
Well, and skipping that 32 hold there, you can see that his heel went on, doesn't need the intermediate. It's going to be close. That should be a place for the finals. It's Marcello Bombardi tied before other climbers on 35 plus as he comes off. I'm pretty sure that'll be enough to go through. Interestingly, that group of 35 plus, all of them could just be now knocked out, so we won't have a huge tie in the men's competition going through to the finals round. It was 35 plus where Marcello come off. He was tied with Jain Kim, Hannes Puman and Shinichiro Nomura. So luckily, I think, a bit of a save the day there for Kachiro going in with the last 3 climbers left. I don't think we're going to have a big stack of ties in the final, luckily.
Kachiro just having a final look up. As I mentioned, he's relatively small climber, and those moves to the roof are quite long, trying to keep a heel or a toe in place.
It was interesting that he obviously felt so fresh at that stage. He didn't bother using the first hold on the arete, managed to have the power to go straight out onto the next hold on the right hand, but it was the heel that seemed to cause the problems. Terrible heel hook so far up in the route. Walks off the stage looking particularly pumped, I have to say. Have to do well to recover that. He's got a few hours before the final round later on.
Yeah. We always see Kachiro with some ice packs taped onto his arms after climbing, so maybe we'll get a shot of that in the live stream, I'm not sure.
There's plenty of ice baths around. Just drive north a bit up to Queen's Ferry, jump in off a jetty, sort you out.
Yeah.
So the women's competition here in the semi-final has completely concluded. The final 3 male athletes are out. It's Jakob Schubert from Austria up next, and Jakob's just one of those athletes so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
When he looks pumped, he somehow always manages to stick onto the wall for another 5 or 10 moves. He's a real fighter.
Really good at fighting. Jakob's had his summer away in Rocklands bouldering, where he had a really successful trip. Ticked off a lot of hard boulders, but that wasn't amazing prep for the lead season. And coming into Arco World Cup, he said he wasn't feeling in great shape for lead, but still managed to get a win there. So could be scary to see how he'll do today after having trained for a couple of months in lead.
That Arco route was interesting. It was really coming down to time in the final there in Arco, and Jakob, he really had to fight hard at the top of the wall there. It was virtually him versus Adam Ondra on the final few moves. No Adam Ondra here this weekend, unfortunately, but Jakob must be on a high after, like you say, going away on a rock trip, coming back and managing to perform
still win a World Cup.
Yeah, extremely well in a League World Cup. But he's an incredibly experienced competitor at the same time. He has a lot he can rely on. If he's just a little bit off in terms of his endurance, he can key into those other elements of his climbing.
I think he's, that having such a great trip outdoors and still being able to come back and win a World Cup just shows how good of a overall competitor he is. Winning Boulder World Cups, League World Cups, climbing hard climbs outdoors, both boulder and lead. You know, I think he's one of the best all-round climbers in the world for sure.
Yeah, third at the European Championships, great results in Munich and bouldering, got into the final there. First, like you say, in Arco. He's basically done it all already.
Yeah.
26 years old, so in the grand scheme of things, that's getting towards the top end of the age limit, actually. You know, on average, compared to some of the athletes.
Yeah.
The sort of the demographic of athletes seems to be getting younger and younger these days. But then you've got someone like Ramon, who's 36, I think he is. Still competing, still getting into finals.
Still going strong. Same as Dave Barron's.
Climbing so fascinating in that way. There's all shapes, sizes, all ages still fighting hard, competing hard. As Jakob Schubert drops into the knee bar then. Doesn't seem to be a particularly good knee bar, just enough to concentrate and get a bit of a chalk.
What was it you described it as earlier, Mike? It's a half knee, a psychological knee bar. It's really good to see Jakob winning in Arco. Tries to be impartial, but he's been around so long, been such a seasoned competitor, and he's had a break from winning World Cups, and I think there are a lot of people in the climbing community absolutely delighted with that result. And ditto Jain Kim in Arco, really good to see. He's been climbing well here in Edinburgh as well.
Yeah, 2 tops so far, so maybe he'll get a clean sweep throughout the whole competition.
Well, we spent the best part of 2 weeks at his home wall in Innsbruck. No excuses, to be honest, having seen the facility he trains at, but whether it is that new facility or new psychological approach or whatever, Jakob Schubert, as you can see there, seems so relaxed, seems so on form.
Yeah, just the way that he went through that section, just hit the right hand, just like it was a warm-up move really, and we've seen other climbers fall off that move, jumping to it.
Yeah.
The way that he powered through that section, you know, he's maybe on the taller end of the competition, but he's not tall by any means. 175 actually centimetres, just got it in front of me. Yeah, not a big athlete, but the way that he went there, he also got bags of endurance left at this stage, and he's been working incredibly hard since that Arco World Cup. He managed to take the win, but he's been working even more in his endurance since then. Jakob Schubert then into the real meat of the route then. It's this top section that gets you into a place on finals or not. He's got a few moves still to go to get to there. He needs to get to the arete at least to get through into the finals here. It's Kai Lightner currently sitting in 8th position with a score of 36. Domen Skoffic leading the way with his one hand on the finish hold. Domen Skoffic then Jakob Schubert with 2 climbers left still to come. Same sequence as Kachiro there through there, drops straight into the right hill. This is looking really, really solid here from Jakob Schubert. Incredible performance for him. Looks for the foot options, decides to go for the right toe drag instead of the hill. That could work for the next move. Needs to get some weight off the arms though. Now he drops it into the heel hook. You can see the foot straining just under the weight. This is a really good performance here from Jakob. Crowd's really responding for him. Domen Skoffic's high point of touching the last hold is in danger. Jakob Schubert still looking quite fresh. Will he hit the finish hold and will he stick it? Domen hit it and fell off. Jakob Schubert goes with ease. He's going to find a top here with 2 climbers left. Jakob Schubert, will be seeing him later. Cruises through on the semi-final route. Absolutely staggering performance once again. Winner in Arco. Tops here in the semi-final. Can't ask for more than that.
The setters will be happy about that.
They certainly will, yeah. The men's route is top. Superb performance from Jakob Schubert. Absolutely brilliant performance. Even has time to joke with the judges when he nearly lands on their table as he's being lowered down. Little insight from Jakob there. I don't know if you picked it up at home, but as he was coming past our wall-mounted camera, he really precisely looked where he's going to place that toe, and we've seen a couple of climbers be tired at that stage and they just kind of chuck it on. And it's such a small hold, you've got to be so precise, and Jakob had the power, the endurance and the psychology just to look round the corner, look where he was placing it, and from there he looked solid, and it was a really impressive performance. Never really looked like he was going to fall on that last section.
I think that was a true sign of how much he had left in the tank at that stage. You know, when you get super pumped, those sort of tactics, that ability to look round the corner completely goes out the window. And like you said, you're just throwing a foot up anywhere and hoping it sticks. He had plenty left. I think he could have done 3 or 4 moves there. Let's have another look at this top section.
This is exactly what I mean. See there, just drops his head around, has a look. It's just something I noticed as it was happening live, and very impressive to have the mental strength left when you, well, presumably that pumped. He didn't look that pumped, so I'm assuming he was at least a bit tired.
But that's what we're talking about just before he pulled on. Jakob's one of those guys, he seems to be able to get pumped and then push on for another 5 or 10 moves. He's got that ability to dig in, the ability to keep his head clear as he goes through. And see, the way that he crushed the route was really, really impressive. And I think, you know, his confidence coming off the wall, winning from Arco, you could see him when he lowered down, smiling, high-fiving the fans. Absolutely awesome.
It's been a good end to the season for him.
Stefano Ghisolfi then, another climber who cruised through yesterday's qualifiers with 2 tops. Another climber who's had a really good season. Just 24 years old, currently ranked 4th in the world. Been there or thereabouts pretty much the whole season here. Slightly disappointing result for him. Maybe the pressure was on being an Italian in Arco, just a couple of weeks ago. But 3rd in Briançon, 7th in Chamonix, 11th in Villars. He's been really, like I say, there or thereabouts this season, and he's climbed multiple hard routes outdoors this year as well.
Yeah,
9 Bs, quite a few of them ticked off. So he's really, really on fire. So maybe after an 18th last time out, he'll be looking to
definitely better his performance today.
Interesting clipping technique there, sort of making it as part of the next move, wasting no time with the clips.
Mike, just a quick one. I was just over in the athlete area as to come off the wall. Just had a quick chat with Jakob Schubert, and you will be relieved to know he did look slightly tired. So it obviously took a bit more out of him than he let on camera, but yeah, happy man. See there, top of your screen, Jakob Schubert top, Domin Skofic 42 plus. So second to last climber on the wall, Stefano Ghisolfi. That means the top 6 already guaranteed their place in the final. Interestingly enough, that includes Ramon. Good to see him in the final tonight. Romain Desgrange, current leader in the overall standings of 2017, having the season of his life, will be out after this.
It's Gachero who's currently in the danger zone, sitting in 8th position at the moment with a score of 36 plus.
Yeah, Fedir as well in 7th, could be pushed out depending on how Stefano does. He'll be watching this nervously. But Max Rudiger as well, another name who's becoming increasingly prominent recently. 3rd in Arco, he's through.
It was in Chamonix when he got through to the finals and he came out last, and he seemed to be a climber who suffered with nerves really badly going into the final. It was his for the taking after so many tops. All he had to do was top the route, similar to what other climbers had done and failed. And you do wonder if Stefano's one of those climbers who suffers with nerves. It's be interesting to see. He's going to hear that huge roar from the crowd after a top from Jakob Schubert. Can he just put that out of his mind and just concentrate on his game?
Yeah, I'm sure he knew what happened there. The crowd went ballistic.
Yeah, and the isolation here for before you come out to climb, it's you're not in a separate room. You're just sitting behind the back of the wall on the side. So yeah, there's nothing stopping you from hearing the cheers and hearing the crowd and the commentator as well. So he'll definitely know that a tops happened. He just got to push, like Charlie said, push that to the back of his head and focus on his own climbing.
Must be such a hard thing to do though. Just think about your moves. The crowd's obviously buzzing. You'll be able to feel it. You can feel it in the air when the atmosphere's changed. Stefano's got to just switch that off and concentrate on the job in hand.
Yeah.
We'll be back to Xiamen in a few weeks where he won last year. But in the meantime, it's Edinburgh and Wujiang. First things first, so get through this roof section.
Stefano opting to use the intermediate right hand there. Other climbers found it easy just to go straight through, but you can see on his face there a bit of concentration, but cruising relatively speaking at this stage. Jakob Schubert topped the route. Domin Skofic has fallen off the last hold, puts the right heel and doesn't get it quite as neatly as Jakob. Jakob managed to get the toe, then put the heel on. You can see him fighting now. This is a really good burn. He's easily into the finals
really
here.
Strong.
Stefano Ghisolfi then. Can he find a top? Can he join the rest of those guys up there on the last couple of moves? This is looking good.
Chose not to bump to the 3rd ball before coming into the crimp. Here we go.
Big move up, holds
Nicely
it.
done.
Thought he was in trouble there, but manages to have the strength through the left shoulder to compose the swing, slow down the swing. Big fist pump. Can't answer more than that. Stefano Ghisolfi through to the finals with ease, and another top. 2 tops so far. We saw earlier on in the show that with early high points there could be a few tops here. It's 2 at least. Not necessarily a huge problem going through to finals, and good to see from the crowd's point of view. Good entertainment here on the men's competition.
Yeah, really good performance there from Stefano. Same problem with the old judges' table. That's climbing's equivalent of a first world problem, though, when you top the route and land on the judges. Take that any day. Wonderful effort from Stefano Ghisolfi. Let's have a look at the results for you. There we see it, and they are updating on time. Luxury has arrived in the Ratho Arena in Edinburgh, and you see there Stefano Ghisolfi top the route, Jakob Schubert top the route. That does mean that Koichiro Kuranaga, who got 2 tops in the qualifiers yesterday, is shunted out of the top 8. Fedir Samoilov will be watching this very, very nervously. He is currently in the potential drop zone. Should Ramon de Grange do well?
Yeah, going by the form book as well, it'd be a hard man to get a bet against Ramon de Grange doing well here. I think this route will really suit him.
Yeah.
You know, he's got these small in-cut holds that he's really at home on, same as Fedir, but you really think it'd be an upset here if Ramon couldn't get through cleanly and get into the finals.
He's had such a great season. I'd really like to see him make finals again. You know, I mean, in previous years he's not had such good seasons, but you know, after that win in Imps last year, it's just been a stream of good comps for him. So I'm sure he's pleased.
So the final climber out there in the men's competition here in Edinburgh for the lead semi-final. This will be followed by the speed final, and we'll be back later on this afternoon for the senior final. Really looking forward to that. It's very, very strong field, and a few upsets as well, so a few new faces in there. Lots to look forward to. Ramon de Grange chasing down Stefano and Jakob Schubert at the top, and we do get to hear from Jakob Schubert just after his top on the route.
Jakob, amazing performance. It feels like you've found some form this year.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. I mean, Arco definitely gave a huge confidence boost, and I was psyched to train for Edinburgh for this World Cup. Since, I haven't really done any Elite World Cups before that. In Arco, it was really surprising to win. I didn't feel in like a good shape, and also in semis I really struggled, so I knew I had to like work on my endurance shape, and I think I've done pretty well, and I feel really good at this comp. I really like this wall, and the style of the routes.
On those last few moves, you looked really in control. Just talk us through that roof section.
Yeah, I mean, I think the route was surprisingly easy for a semi-final, I would say. Usually we climb like really hard semi-finals where it's often like impossible to reach the top. But already reading the route during observation, I thought this could be possible. I mean, you never know without like touching the holds, but it like seemed okay. And like especially up to the roof, it wasn't really that hard. Like there wasn't any crux moves, and you couldn't cover because there were some good holds in between, and then I saved enough power for the roof section to like walk through pretty much.
Well, congratulations, great performance, and we'll see you this evening.
Thank you very much.
Good interview there from Jakob. It must be pretty strange for Ramon to be climbing and hear Jakob talking about how he's just topped the route and how it felt easy up to the roof, so it does add a bit of pressure for Ramon. But I'm sure he's such a focused climber. I'm sure he just didn't even notice that Jakob was having his interview.
Yeah,
Ramon de Grange gets through that section there. You would have thought from this point onwards he'll be pushing for a place in the finals. He's not got too many more moves to get through. See him once again into a finals.
Apologies to Ramon de Grange. I wasn't actually expecting they'd put us on the PA system here in Edinburgh whilst he was climbing. He must have. Shame Jakob couldn't give him a few tips for the crux moves through the roof, but there we go. And here he is at the crux moves through the roof. Once again looking in control. As I said, he is having the season of his life, Ramon de Grange. Leading the standings and looking in control here in Edinburgh.
Yeah, looking very in control. And unless there's a hill slip, you've got to think he will cruise to the top here. Just drops down the right hill to a toe. He's fighting the tension here. He's in big trouble. His right hand's just slipped. It's enough to get through. It's a good burn. Slightly disappointing potentially from his point of view. That'll be a good psychological boost for Stefano and Jakob Schubert to go through with tops, and for Domin as well. Good to see him back on form. You can see it was just he dropped the right heel down to a toe. As he did that and started moving through the next section, it was the right hand slowly crept off the hold. Bit of chalk build up possibly on there. It's enough for him to get through comfortably, realistically, and good men's qualification semi-final route here.
For sure.
Yeah, interesting as well to hear Jakob say he was surprised how easy it was. Nearly fell over. I mean, he's only 2 tops. Ramon de Grange, the leader in the World Cup standings right now, couldn't top the route. So Jakob, it would seem, in superb form if he's saying the route was easy.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the results to update, by the way. Let's have a look at the women first. Crowd just dispersing here. The speed final is scheduled to get underway in about 10 minutes time. I think we'll be a bit late with that. Janja Garmret has a familiar position. Number 1, Jain Kim, Ashima Shirashi, Annette Verhoeven, Julia Shanodi, Tina Johnson-Hassas, Hannah Slaney and Jessie Pilz, your top 8, and then that big tie on 17 plus. But that first 5 or 6 climbers, and plus of course Hannah Slaney, what a final that'll be. Combination of the really big names, exciting up and comers like Ashima Shirashi, and then people like Hannah Slaney who will just be absolutely delighted to be in the final and just climb with no pressure. That promises to be a superb women's final. Let's have look a bit lower down the order. You can see there that big tie on 17 plus, and we have another big tie on 14 plus, and then finally down at the bottom, big tie on 13 plus. You can see Mina Markovic, number 15 there, one of the most high profile casualties of 3 very hard moves around holds 13, 14 and 17. And apparently just still waiting for the men. I can just see actually Romain de Grange just pops up on my screen. I don't know if it's on the graphics just yet. Let's have a look. Romain de Grange is in 5th though. Yes, there he is. So we have up-to-date results. 2 tops, Stefano Ghisolfi and Jakob Schubert. Both of them, interestingly enough, topped both the qualifying routes as well. Domen Skofic, great to see him back in a final. He'll climb as well as Thomas Huan, Romain de Grange, Sean Bailey, Max Rudiger and Ramone. Fede just misses out in 9th place.
In 11th place we have Kyle Lightner in 36. 12th Marcello Bombardi, 35 plus, big tie on 35 plus, and then further down the ranks we've got Masahiro Higuchi and
quite the tie a bit lower down, but the resetters overall very good job on the men's route. Jim, enjoy that home World Cup?
Yeah, definitely. I think the event's been run really well. There's been no mess ups so far, so hopefully it stays smooth for the finals.
Hey, well, thanks a lot for your company, Jim. Really appreciate it. And Mike, should be a pretty amazing final tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really interesting semi-final. Great men's route. Women's route, there's a few issues lower down, but it's good to see those climbers get through. The likes of Janja going so high up on the wall. Yeah, really looking forward to the finals as always.
And before the finals, we have got the speed finals coming up very shortly. We'll see you for that and the finals later on this afternoon. Thanks for watching.